What's up? Gotta take a little time. Let everybody know you in here. How you doing, Miss Jackson?
I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there.
Hanging in there. We
I'm
going
hanging in
strong.
there.
We going strong.
Yeah, yeah. I like the momentum that we have. I think we need to keep it going because it's so important, you
It
know.
really is important.
It's very important. We got to keep the momentum going. Um, because I just don't know what to say. I'm telling you, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I ain't never seen, I mean, I can't say I've never seen black people in this condition because I know that we've technically, no, not technically, but realistically have been in worse. That's for sure.
For sure.
But I'm going to say the level of denial, the lack of will to do something different. That's what's
Right.
got me kind of puzzled. And got me baffled. I didn't think that we would take so many things laying down and unchallenged as we have as a group.
As a group.
As a group, I'll put it to you that way. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah, I feel like it was our calling, because clearly uh I we are lost out here. I don't even think we're that lost. I just don't really think the information is getting out there like it needs to be, but now it's happening. People are starting to see with their own eyes. So thank God to social media. Thank God to YouTube. Thank God to that 3 minutes in that mic. 3 minutes in that mic.
To that mic. Now that we cannot deny. But now you're gonna say people are beginning to see with their own two eyes. Okay, well, what was they seeing with before?
They were in delusion. They thought that everything was. It's just like you get married, right, to somebody, and you think that they're taking care of the finances. They taking you, trusting them, you giving them your check. They taking care of the finances. Come find out you for whole house foreclosed. You haven't paying your mortgage. Wait, hold up. I thought we was good. That's what the
No,
Democratic Party.
that's a real analogy. That's a real analogy. But then I have to throw this on it then. How did we think? How were we being delusional? Okay, so because that's a perfect analogy that you gave, right? A perfect analogy. The only thing is, let's say in that scenario that you gave, right? I have no idea that we're in foreclosure because the lights are
Right.
still on, the gas is still working. Um, I say I'm not the spouse that collects the mail out the mailbox. Let's say typically the established habit in our household is when the other person comes home, they get the mail out the mailbox because perhaps the mail in our neighborhood runs relatively late. Right. So the person who come in, the habit has been established over the years that they're the ones that grab the mail. Okay. So it's possible that when those default letters and stuff was coming in the mail, that person hid them from you. So again, back to
Right.
your analogy, you can be delusional. But how do you explain, Zoe, us going out to our communities and we see the empty lots, we see the abandoned buildings, we see the desolate businesses? How can you say that we are being delusional if we're seeing it? Unlike the analogy that you gave, it's possible that that other person could have kept it hidden because everything's still working. They didn't get the notices from the mail because the other person is getting the mail. Um, Depending on whose name is on the mortgage, the bank is sending you emails or something, not the other person. I mean, let's just say. But if I'm going outside and I'm seeing this empty lot, I'm seeing tons of empty lots, man. I'm seeing all these abandoned buildings, all these desolate businesses. Then is that, I mean, how's somebody being delusional? How, how's somebody putting on a face to me if my community is
Because
jacked
it's
up?
just, if you riding with that person and you know that person, it's just it's some weak-minded individuals. It's some relationships that you know that they should have been left each other, but they're just still there, and they don't, and they're not gonna leave because they're just loyal to them. It's like it's literally a Stockholm syndrome. It's literally people who are used to. It's another. It's another version of abuse. I just don't think they have a name for it yet. Political abuse? I don't know.
I don't know.
Democratic
I don't know
abuse?
because it's not adding up. It's not adding up.
Yeah.
How? And
Oh,
to
and the
the
racism, the for so long, you they say the Republican Party's race, is racist. There's people that will say, okay, I'll vote Republican, but I'm not voting for Trump because Trump is racist. But I really feel like it should be the other way around. Like I'll vote, and when I say
I
that, to
don't
say
know
that
because
I'll vote for Trump, and then we'll see how these 4 years go because he only got 4 years, right? And then I'll see how I feel because the Republican Party, I ain't never really rock with the party because I feel like it's racist. But to say Trump is racist, I mean, a lot of people think Trump is racist. So that there's people that tell me all the time, I don't mind voting Republican, but I'm just not going to vote for Trump because he's racist. But I'll still vote blue because they have the word racism and Republican together. R&R, Republican racism. They just have it together no matter. So, and yeah, I mean, that's all I can see. But see, a person like me, racism isn't the problem in what I see. I see black on black crime, all types of ways when it comes to the Democratic Party, whether it be emotionally, economically. They keep saying, well, we're shooting each other. Well, we're getting killed economically, and we have all this black leadership that they put in position to make it seem like, no, it's no racism. Well, this is worse because this is not even this is literally black on black crime. I can't think of nothing else but black on black crime. Like the fact that what we're witnessing, what we're dealing with, what we're about to talk about in a few
right.
minutes. You understand? Like, and the fact that you have no leadership down there that is your skin color is more hurtful than you saying Trump is racist.
And as it pertains to that, I lived through, I'm gonna say Nixon was a Republican president, Ronald Reagan was a Republican president, right? George W. Bush Sr. was a Republican president, and George W. Bush Jr. was a Republican president. And then now we're talking about Trump. So these are the Republican terms of presidency that I've lived through. And let me just say this. None of those Republicans were painted as racist. We just voted Democrat because we voted Democrat. It wasn't that we didn't vote Democrat because they were racist. It was we didn't vote Republican, I'm sorry, because they were racist. It was more of why we did vote Democrat. You
There's
understand? It wasn't so much about why we didn't vote Republican as much as why we were voting Democrat. And the reason why we were voting Democrat was largely due to the Civil Rights Act of 1964 being passed. Now, when you talk about Trump and this conversation of racism surrounded around Trump, because again, there was not a conversation centered around the Bush administrations about racism being the reason why we weren't going Republican. That conversation was not around Ronald Reagan. It was not around Nixon, and Nixon did the first war on drugs in the 70s. And it's still, the topic of racism wasn't centered around the Republican Party. It was more about the reason why we did vote Democrat. Now you come to Trump, and you got to think that Trump was a very familiar figure in society and in the Black community, in terms of, like we've said a million times before, all the rap songs and stuff that included Trump. The celebrities that embraced Trump for many years, like Whoopi and Oprah, the things that we heard over the years that Trump had done for Black people, like when Jennifer Holiday, no, Jennifer Hudson, I'm sorry, Jennifer Hudson, when she lost her family tragically like that back in the day, and how you heard about how Donald Trump let her and the rest of her family stay in Trump Towers for as long as they needed. Back in the day when you saw him rocking with Jesse Jackson and them, when you saw him, it was rumored back then that he had helped Aretha Franklin out. He was not hated by Black America at all. We all watched The Apprentice. What did you say?
Well, somebody said that Trump and Vance did by inviting Dan to the Army-Navy football game. People think Republicans are racist. Penny is no hero and shouldn't be glorified. And Daniel Penny, that's the one who did the chokehold.
I know that subway chokehold thing.
Yeah, and I think people fail to realize that the family that Jordan was harassing wasn't.
You know, what I'm going to say about it is this.
You know, yeah, but I'm just saying that's what's like somebody saying, but I'm saying though, the family that they say he was harassing, kept harassing, was a Black woman and her daughter. But they don't bring that out, or they don't talk about that. So, you know, people leave bits and pieces out of stories, and just a situation that, like I said, witnessed today with the guy, you know, the reason why it's not a big story because the police officer is Black instead of white, because they have to have a racial thing. Just like, so that's that. But saying that, so yeah, Ghost on the Shore, I think a lot of people, I mean, I get what you're on the shore, but I also know that was a Black woman and a Black daughter, and her daughter, and they were harassing him. Now, saying she got killed or whatever, hey, you know, at the end of the day, that happened. I wasn't there, but I know that lady did come out and speak, and she did say, like, no one never asks the victim how she or how was it she was there. No one doesn't speak about that situation. So that's all I'm gonna say to that.
You know, because I don't want this to turn into a anti-police and all this and that. What we do know is this: under the Obama administration, a whole lot of Black men got killed. Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, all them. Freddie Gray and all them. And none of those police officers got locked up and all this. And nobody had nothing to say about the fact that Obama didn't make moves to lock those people up under his presidency. Nobody's saying anything about the fact that, Tyrese Nichols, how that Democratic court did not file charges on those police officers that beat him to death. You know, it's just amazing how we can see how one party handles the law, and look at the other party do the same thing, but only could see one side of it. You know,
I just say like it's
that's
bad. It's bad
that's all I got to
apples.
say about that.
Yeah, and people just the media shows always one side, and like I said, with what I've learned with fighting this fight that I'm fighting, that and when I have to stop fighting my fight and seeing all the other weird things that's happening, I see that okay, these people only make money. The Democratic black oppression or anything that's racial tension, but they never want to find a solution. They never want to get no legislation. They don't never want to change it or anything like that. So at the end of the day, racism is here, but what I've seen, what I've witnessed in this last year and these last 2 years with the Democratic Party and economically how they got us messed up and how they push stuff like this to make us not think about what's really happening. Like what you're about to talk about is
Right,
it's just the whole thing just needs to be revamped.
right,
Yeah, the whole thing
right,
needs to be revamped.
right.
But it's
So
black on black crime and real talk.
right. So let's get into the conversation,
So,
because this is not about Donald Trump saying nothing about Daniel Penny and all that. Let's learn something today.
right.
Let's not be
So
argumentative, and let's learn something today.
right. All right. So, Ms. Jackson, I would like you to explain in your words why you have been fighting in the probate system to your family's property that has been paid off since you were 16 years old, and why is it in public administrator? Was that what I'm saying, right? Public administration, right?
Yes.
And why haven't you yet been able to get your deed that you have? You have your deed. This is a paid off property. It's not in foreclosure. No, your taxes, you're paying taxes, all that stuff, and you still have not yet to get your deed. And your deed, illegal corruption and the other part I'll let you talk about.
No, our family does have the deed.
Yeah,
The
yeah, I said
property
you
has
have the
been
deed, you
paid
have the
over
deed, but
since
I
we was
mean,
15, right, since I was a teenager. The property does have the deed. The issue is that the Cook County probate division, with the illegal interference of the public administration, has not transferred ownership over to me and my sisters per my mother's will, per our
when did your mom
inheritance.
pass away?
We've had the deed. It's been the deed. The deed has been in my mother's safe deposit box for decades.
When did your mom pass away?
July 2016.
And you said there's a law. What's the Illinois law?
The Illinois law is okay. The Illinois law is here it is. All right. The Illinois law is Illinois State Law 755 ILCS 5, Article 25. And they have it, of course, in Roman numerals XXV. And what that law is that it requires a formal court proceeding, which is the probate process. A formal proceeding is needed if your assets are over $100,000 in the estate of the decedent, or if there's real estate involved. And that's required even if there's a full and authentic will, even if there's no debt on the estate, even if there are no delinquent taxes. If that estate has $100,000 of value of assets or real estate, by Illinois law that I just read, it has to go into the probate process.
How long is that usually supposed to be for?
Like 18 months or something like that, because you got 16, I'm sorry, you have 6 months for creditors to claim a debt against the estate. And then, of course, by law, it's supposed to be within the first 60 days after you file the will that the inventory has to be done, which would on the estate, which would consist of your bank accounts, the appraisal of the real estate, any stocks and bonds, all the assets have to be shown to the estate within 60 days, to the heirs and beneficiaries of the estate within 60 days, again, by probate law. Okay, and then, like I just said, creditors have up to 6 months to make a claim against an estate. So, in this instance, at the end of 6 months, there were no claims against the estate because my mother didn't owe any debt. The real estate, like you said, has been paid for since I was a teenager. So there was no hold up there. My mother had, I guess I better go ahead and show this so we can get through all of this. My mother had a full-fledged will, if you can see it. This is her full-fledged will that was filed into probate on August 9th, 2016. It was filed in the circuit clerk of the circuit court probate division. And you see the file stamp, court file stamp.
And you guys had a lawyer, like a family lawyer, right? Your lawyer, your mother put this thing together. He's been your mom's lawyer for he's a known lawyer, right? But yeah,
he was.
I want to make sure, because a lot of people always say, well, you got to have a lawyer and stuff like that. But your mom had a lawyer. She put that together.
Yeah. I'm gonna show you that. I'm gonna show you that on the witness page, on the last page. Right now, I want to show them that my mother had an authentic will. And you asked, when did my mother pass? She passed July 2016. And by law, by probate law, you have to file the will within 30 days. Of the decedent's death. So this will was filed in August 2016 in the probate division. And as you can see, it's a full authentic will. And as you just pointed out, the will was filed by David Feldman, attorney David Feldman from Strauss and Malt LLP. That's a limited liability partnership type of law firm. Now, right here you see my mother's will. You see it's entitled The Last Will and Testament of my mother, Mary Lou Thomas.
Rest and then peace, as you can see, I said, rest in peace, Miss Thomas.
Yes, Ma. Yes, Ma. Okay, and then now you see the last page of the will, which is where you see the attorney's signatures. You see his stamp, attorney stamp that is notarized. You see the witnesses of his wife, Rochelle Feldman, my mother's initials. That's what makes it authentic. Now, the answer to your question, the person who wrote this will was the late attorney Jerome Feldman. He had been my mother's will my mother's attorney for over 50 some years, over 54 years, in fact.
54 years.
54 years, yeah. That was her trusted attorney, Yeah, growing up all our life, we would always hear her brag about her, that good Jew lawyer, and she trusted him with everything, because you got to think, back then, the Jewish community did a lot of business with the Black community, because back then, the Jews didn't get business from white people like that. So a lot of their clients coming into law back then in the 60s were Black clients, clients. So my mom, that was her attorney, like I said, for 54 years. And then as they aged, just like my mother ended up getting dementia 7 years before her death and started getting elderly, she needed my sister, because my sister was here. I
Mm-hmm.
was living in California because I moved to California shortly after college graduation. A couple of months after I graduated from college, I moved to California just to be going. I wasn't estranged from my mother. Me and my mother didn't fall out. I didn't get put out. I just was young and graduated from college and just doing my thing. One of my friends I met in college at Howard, she called me and told me that her father knew somebody who had an auditing company out there, and was an accounting major.
Great.
So
Mm-hmm.
she hooked it up that he could give me a job at the auditing firm. I'm like, okay, why not? And I went on to California. End up being out there for 35 years. Getting married, having my children. Um, Having a good career with LA Unified School District as an accountant. Um, Bought a home. Me and my ex-husband bought a home. I had the home even after divorce. I mean, my life was out there. I had no
Mm-hmm.
intention of coming back to Chicago. Now, once I got in my late 40s, I knew I wanted to leave California, though, because California was too expensive to retire in if I wanted to retire early. Well, I always knew I didn't want to work past 55. So I already knew California was going to be too expensive. So I had already started thinking about moving, but I wasn't thinking about coming to Chicago at all. Then my mom passed, and I started seeing all the trickerations that was going on with her estate. I knew, how can this be? My mother has a will. I knew my mother, just like everybody in the chat, or your mother. If we know our parents, just like our parents know us. I knew that my mother's business was in order. All through our lives, once my mother started aging, not only did she have that will, I want to show your audience. My mother wrote me and my sisters on a regular basis. These are letters in my mother's handwriting, her own handwriting, saying what her intentions were, that everything that she had was to be divided between her three daughters. My mother wrote all of us over the years to tell us where her bank accounts were and all of that, so that there would be no confusion. Even once my mother got dementia, but she could still travel as long as she had a nurse. She came to California when when my daughter had her graduation from high school, and she had her nurse with her. And even then, my mother had me to contact Jerome Feldman, who was still her attorney at that time, and sent a certified letter to him to reiterate that everything that she had was to go to her daughters to be divided by three
Mm-hmm.
equally. So there's no question what my mother wanted.
So
And
you
the
have
fact that
will that's
all
done.
of her debt was paid, there's no question what she wanted.
So you had a will that was done the proper way, as they say, and
Yes,
then you have a letter written from your mom,
several letters.
several letters written from handwritten, the letter that let because people need to understand. I always say this: Anita did not have a will. They found a piece of paper, ouch, and they took that as a will. But you, Feldman, rest in peace, Mr. Jerome Feldman, he put everything together the professional way, because they always love to say, well, you got to get a will. Well, it's done. I got the will. And then I also have papers written from my mother, several papers that also outlines everything that I want done in case if anything happens to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they say, true story.
True story. So you come back because of some trickeration when it comes to the will, your mom's assets.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
seeing that it's taking too long for them to do an appraisal on the property and to give the bank accounts. Because in my mother's will, now fast to what I was saying. My mother got elderly, and so therefore, and got dementia the last 7 years of her life. So therefore, like I said, I was in California. My other two sisters are 5 years older than me. They're twins. They were here. One of them always been, just doing her own thing and always been like not wanting to be involved in this type of stuff. My other sister, she's always been the business minded person and all this. So it was personified, to be put it that way. And she was here. So she became my mother's power of attorney. Now here's the trick. She did not go to my mother's 50-some year attorney to be to get the power of attorney wrote up. She went to a friend of hers and got that power of attorney written up. And power of attorneys can be either medical, or a power of attorney can be financial, or a power of attorney can be dual, have both functions. My mother needed a medical power of attorney by way of her getting the dementia. She didn't need a financial power of attorney. And had she needed one, her trusted attorney of 50-some years would have written it up where it would not have made a conflict of interest with the will that he himself had written. Because in Article 5 of my mother's will, which is very important, this is where she appoints an executor. She appoints my sister, Heletta Yvonne, as the executor of her will. And then in Article 6, my mother stipulates that any event of the death, refusal, or any inability of my daughter, Heletta Yvonne Thomas, to act as executor, I hereby appoint my beloved daughter, Jessica Thomas Jackson, as successor executor to serve in such capacity without surety of her official bond and upon the identical terms, conditions, and powers as set forth in Article 5, talking about up here where she says the power of the executor. So there's no stone unturned. And then after me, she appoints the third daughter, which is my other sister, Harriet. Okay, so my mother lays it out. Now in Article 4, this is where she says that all her personal property and real property and or any mixed property is to be divided between her three daughters, share and share alike. And she names her three daughters, Heletta Yvonne Thomas, Harriet Yvette Thomas, and Jessica Thomas Jackson. My last name is different due to marriage. My two sisters never got married, so therefore they still had the same name as my mother, Thomas. But due to marriage, my last name changed to Jackson. So my mother worded me in her will as Jessica Thomas Jackson. Not because I'm a stepdaughter, not because I'm a half daughter, not because I'm a granddaughter or a niece. No, all three of us stand in the same degree to my mother. All three of us had the same mother, the same father, grew up in the same house, under the same marriage. All three of us are her daughters. And therefore, she says here that all of her real property and personal property is for her three daughters. And it says, as share and share alike per capita and not per stirpes, to have and to hold and to be theirs forever. And she saw to it that was possible because she had everything paid off before she died. So there would be no reason why these things could not be ours forever, because there was no debt attached to anything. Right. Now, this document right here is the second important document to the will itself. And this document is called the Petition for Probate of Wills and Letters for Testamentary. And what makes this document so important is because this document is the document on line number 2 that shows what the financial value of the estate is. So in the first column, you'll see it says personal property, and it has, they put an amount there.
Okay.
Then in the second column, real, which means the real estate, and they put an amount there. Now watch this. This building is a 3-flat building. My mom always lived on the top floor, which is where I live now, me and my daughter. And then she always rented out the first floor apartment and the garden apartment. So this has always been, as they call, an income producing piece of real estate. The third column right here says annual income from real estate. My sister and the attorney, David Feldman, because at this time, the father has passed on. By the time my mother passed, the late Jerome Feldman had already passed. He passed before my mother did.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. And the same, just like how my mother passed her business affairs over to my sister to handle when she got elderly, well, Jerome Feldman did the same thing with his clients. He gave his clients to his son, David Feldman. And that's how David Feldman became the hired estate attorney for my mother's estate. Because he's the son of the original attorney that wrote my mother's will. So you see here where it says annual income from real estate, they put 0. That right there proved that they came, him and my sister, came into the probate process fraudulently because they misrepresented the income and they misrepresented the type of real estate. For it to have no income from the real estate would mean that it would have to be like a single family home or something like that, that my mother had been living in her own house. So that's not income producing.
That's not income.
That's the only way that could have been 0.
Okay. So,
or if my mom would have been living in all 3 apartments at the same time, and she came up here for breakfast and went to the middle floor for lunch and slept in the basement apartment, then I guess it would have been 0. But this building has always been rented out. So I know people in the chat are quick to rush to, well, your sister, understand it.
People are saying stuff.
No, I'm just saying because that's something that I often hear, because I can't even see the chat. But what I'm saying is that's something that I often hear. Well, your sister didn't. No. My sister did not have the power to override my mother's will. At the time of death, her duties as a power attorney go away, and her duties as an executor begin. And as the executor, the only thing she is obligated by law to do is execute the will. That's it. That's it. It doesn't matter what she wants. It doesn't matter what she desires. She has the fiduciary duty to execute this will, just like the hired estate attorney did. It didn't matter what my sister wanted. What matters is what my mother wanted and what his father put on paper and notarized. Just like when they got into the probate process. Once the judges saw that the attorney was breaking the law, the judge should have stopped the attorneys. But because we're talking about corruption and we're talking about the probate process being another way to take real estate, in this case, bequeath property, the judges go along with it because all of them, like the judges in these cases, a lot of them are real estate attorneys or had real estate practices. So they grabbing at the real estate.
Grabbing at the real estate. When it said that it had $0 for the income, did you challenge that?
Of course.
And what did they say?
And then in a later, let's say, remember I said that in 60 days, they were supposed to provide an inventory?
Yes.
They refused to provide the inventory. And again, the judge didn't make them.
And this was
so my other sister start stumping so hard about the inventory because me and my other sister was like, where's mom's money? Where's her money? What are y'all talking about? There ain't no money. Where's mom's money? So my other sister started kicking up dust along with me until finally, like a year and a half later, in March of 2018, that's when they finally did an inventory. And in that inventory, they did have income from the property, from the same real estate. So explain that. How do you go from zero income to all of a sudden on the same property, there is income?
There is income. And what year was this?
What year was what?
When all this came, because this was before it went up to public administration.
Yes, yes. This was, you talking about when they finally did the inventory?
Yeah.
That was in 2018, March 2018.
So 2
Like I
years
said, like a
after,
year and a half later.
a year and a half later, and this usually never takes this long. Like this, it should have been out by this time.
The inventory?
No, your deed, the probate, the whole
Really,
everything
it
should have been
been done
divided.
by then. Mm-hmm.
Everything should have been divided 3 ways to
Yes.
the daughters. Okay.
Yes.
So I met you last year, and you were coming down there because they just jumped it to public administration.
Yes.
Now, can you explain what public administration is?
Public administration is part of the probate law, and it reads right here as follows. The Office of the Public Administration of Cook County administers estates of deceased Cook County residents who are without available family to administer the estate, or who did not leave a will designating a person to serve as executor of the estate. That's what public administration is for.
And you just showed us a will.
And you're looking at my mother, at one of my mother's heirs. So how does she not have available family? My 2 sisters are still living.
So when it was jumped to public administration, you actually met with the person whose head, well, you ran into him, Louis Apostle?
Correct. He's the one that, he's the head public administrator, like Timothy Evans is the head of the judges for the circuit court.
Yeah.
This is Louis Apostle is equivalent to him for the public office of public administration.
He's the top guy.
That office,
He's the top guy for public administration.
Yes, yes. And his office is across the street from the data center at 69 West Washington.
And when you first told him about this, he told you to write a letter, write an email to him. And he was going to like take care of it. And then all of a sudden it was like, it stopped. It like, he told you to go contact an attorney or whatever, like all that. And the reason why I'm saying that, guys, is because every time you go to someone that is supposed to take care of something, with my case, Ms. Jackson's case, anybody else's case, it's like it's someone, it's like, that's like, tell them to go get a lawyer. You're not going to touch that, because these are the top of the top. So you would go to him. He's supposed to find the solution. The solution is she has a will. Yeah, why is this here? No, let's get this out of public administration. Matter of fact, let's get this out of probate. That's what the normal person would do. That's what a public servant would do. That's a person who, this is the whole reason why you have this type of person in this field of work. But that didn't work. So I mean, that didn't happen. So that's how I met Ms. Jessica. When it was at that phase. So then after that, can you want to go on more with? I just wanted to break that down as far as that's how we met with that part. So
Correct.
going down there, this, you're going to your alderman saying it's a Cook County thing. You already went to commissioner. The commissioners, was it, who's your commissioners?
Stanley Moore, Commissioner
Dan,
Stanley Moore, but then they say, like, excuse me, like how they say I'm on the cusp of Greg Mitchell and Des Yancey for alderman. They say I'm on the cusp of Bill Laurie and Steve Moore and Stanley Moore. I mean, for my commissioner, for my Cook County commissioner.
and so Cook County thing, even though the city, the county, they're all the same. They're all in the same building, everything together. You can take you can take a downstairs to the elevator and walk over to the deli center. So they're all together. When you went to Stanley Moore about this, your Cook County commissioner, what was said? What was done?
We met, and he had his chief of staff there, and he had this guy that his name is Mario Reed, and every third Saturday or something like that, he does this seminar Saturday mornings where he talks about deeds and wills, the probate and all that, probate procedure and all that. So Stanley Moore had that guy there too, to sit in on the meeting. And so I had my documents with me. Excuse me. I had my documents with me. We looked over the documents, and clearly the judges had broken the law. And then all of a sudden, Stanley Moore just faded away. And he said that Timothy Evans told him that he couldn't be involved because it was in litigation. That was before I filed my federal case. Right. That was before I filed my federal case. This is when it was still just in regular probate.
In regular probate. Okay. And in probate court, when you were dealing with the judges, you was 2 judges?
Oh no, they have put about it started with Judge Karen O'Malley. That was the judge that was on this case at the time when probate opened. Judge Karen O'Malley.
Okay.
And and what happened was the attorney, David Feldman, when my mom first passed, remember I told you I was living in California with no thoughts of coming back to Chicago at all. So the first thing that I wanted to do was to be bought out of the property. I wanted to do a buyout and let my sisters just keep the property. Just like originally my other sister, the one that I said is more standoffish, she got an appraisal done because she wanted to move into the building and she wanted to move in this apartment. That's what we initially said to the attorney and to my other sister that was the executor. They wouldn't do a buyout for me. And my sister, they wouldn't give up the finances and be transparent with me and my other sister about the money that was in my mother's bank accounts so that we could get the building fixed. We wanted to get the building completely redone because this building has been in our family for 62 years. And the last 7 years of my mother's life, like I said, she got dementia. So the building needed to get worked on. And my sister would not fix anything. I mean, she wouldn't fix anything. And once my mom passed, my other sister was like, okay, now mom is passed. Let's take mom's money and fix the building. My sister and the attorney refused to be financially transparent. So my sister just walked away from that idea and left it alone. I continued to ask for a buyout. They wouldn't do a buyout. So finally in 2017, me, my son, my daughter, and one of my cousins came to court, to probate court, to meet with that judge, Judge O'Malley, and tell her that, well, let my sister step down as executor, make them do a buyout because they got my hands tied. She tells my sister and puts it in a court order that within 30 days, they need to get the property fixed and put the building up for sale so that I can get my money out of it. They refused to do that. Instead, what they did was, because the judge told me, okay, put what I wanted in writings. In other words, put the pleadings in writing and file it in the court. So I told her, okay, so within 30 days, I did that. I filed that in June. Rather than them responding to that and getting the building fixed like the judge had ordered my sister and the attorney to do, what they did was they filed a document in court to say, to respond to me saying that my sister shouldn't be it anymore. And what they did, the executive anymore, and what they did was he didn't tell me the court date. That's what he didn't tell me the court date, which would have been June 28th. What he did instead is send it to my old address in LA, because once I stopped working, I moved to Sacramento, California. I got rid of my house and moved to Sacramento, California, because I was thinking, what am I going to do after retirement? Of course, he knew that. Of course, my sisters knew that. So what did he do? He sent the court documents to the old address, even though I had put in 2-3 different emails to him that we're moving to Sacramento, and this is where you need to send all my mail to. He intentionally sent it to the wrong address to make me miss that court date. Now, as God would have it, because my daughter had went up there to dance for the NBA, which is what made me go up there to figure out, until I figured out, what am I going to do? Am I going to go to Atlanta? Because at first I was thinking about going to Atlanta. Or am I going to go to Arizona? Until I figure it out. Well, she had an apartment up there because I had sent her up there for the NBA. But once me and my son came, I told her, okay, I'm going to move you out of here and I'm going to get a bigger place, because I want to set her and my son up, because I knew I was going to go ahead and go to wherever else that I was going to go. But I wanted to make sure that my kids were straight. So I put them in a 2-bedroom townhouse to have them straight. Something told me, though, to go back to my daughter's old apartment, like the day before her lease was up, and to make sure that everything was clean and all this and that, so I'd be sure that she would get her security deposit back. And what was under her door? A FedEx envelope from that attorney. Now all of a sudden he knew the right address to send it to. Come on. So what do? I FedEx the judge a letter to let her know that he had pulled that trick to make me miss the court date, and that he shouldn't be granted no extension, because that's what he filed, to ask for an extension. Here it is right here. You see this?
And what year was this?
You see this right here?
And what year was this?
This was in 2000. This was in 2017. Because remember, I said that I came after they wouldn't do a buyout.
Yeah. I just want to make sure I get the dates are in here so people can understand.
Yeah, no, the
so
dates are very important.
And this is the
dates
first
are very important. But you see this? You see how he sent it to the wrong address?
Right. And this is the first judge.
Correct. Judge Karen O'Malley. And I just happened to go over there just to double check on that apartment. And this is when I found this FedEx up under the door. And the court date was going to be like 2 days after that. So I emailed the judge. I sent her a FedEx that same day and typed up a letter to her to let her know that this is what he had done to make me miss that court date. So now, see right there, July 26, 2017?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what she did now, instead of disciplining him for what? Violating procedural due process. How can I come and combat anything that he's saying if I don't know the court date?
Right.
So that gave him the opportunity to go in there and say whatever he wanted to say with no opposition. Because also remember, which is very important, there are no stenographers in probate proceedings. So there was no record to say what happened that day, to say that I had sent this to the judge to pre-warn her about what he had done to make me miss that date. There was no record, but I have the records.
Right.
Okay, so that's what made me miss that first court date, which is very important. After that, what she started doing to protect that to protect that attorney, every time he wanted to pay a trick, what would she do? She would substitute out another judge. She would bring another judge in, let that judge do whatever bad act that attorney Feldman wanted to do. Then after that, she would be back on the case. And she did that like 4 different times until finally I wrote the presiding probate judge, Mary Ellen Colgan, at that time. She was the presiding probate judge, and told her that this is what Judge O'Malley was doing, that she was switching up these judges like this on the case. And that's when they moved Judge O'Malley, sent her to the law department, and that's when they put in Judge Terrence McGuire. Judge Terrence McGuire was deemed not qualified to be a judge. At the time, they put him on the bench. That Timothy Evans put him on the bench. There is an organization called the Chicago Council of Lawyers. And they are the organization in Chicago that do an evaluation on the judges that are about to be a candidate to sit on the bench. Their evaluation on Judge McGuire right here, they found him not qualified to be a judge.
He's still a judge. He still became a judge.
Yes, Timothy Evans appointed him, and what he did is they allowed him to go get some. It's saying right here, not qualified. You want me to read why he's not qualified?
Please do.
It says, and this was September 15, 2014. You see right here in the big print, it's the Chicago Council of Lawyers. You see that?
Right.
Okay, now right here, it's a Terrence J. McGuire. And it says, Terrence, and it says not qualified. Not qualified. It said Terrence J. McGuire was admitted to practice in 1991. He is a solo practitioner focusing on estate planning, probate, and real estate transactions. He is also an administrative law judge in ordinance enforcement proceedings. Mr. McGuire is praised for the work that he does. He is reported to have a good employment, a good temperament as an administrative law judge, and manages the calls well. He handles a variety of cases involving county ordinance, and his opinions are praised as being well-founded. The council is concerned, however, that Mr. McGuire has little litigation experience as a lawyer in more complex matters. He has the potential to be a good circuit judge, and the council finds him not qualified for the circuit court at this time.
But Timothy Evans thought otherwise.
And what they allowed him to do was go get signatures. I think like 10,000 signatures or something like that, and then put him on the ballot running unopposed.
10,000 signatures and a check to Timothy Evans. I
and he was
guarantee
still
you, if
on
we
the
look
board.
at, and this is, well, I'm going to go look, but I guarantee you that there is something from Timothy McGuire or something they went to Timothy Evans' campaign.
Now watch this. Now watch this. This is where it gets interesting. Remember, I said in 2019, that's when the case got, my mother's estate was given to him. Keep in mind, he had been rated not qualified,
Right.
but appointed to the bench, right? Watch
Right.
this. So now, by 2019, I had started writing complaints to Timothy Evans because I was telling Timothy Evans, because there are no stenographers, the judges are in there committing perjury left and right. There's no record of what they're saying. They're committing, it's like a cesspool of perjury with the officers of the court. And I'm writing Timothy Evans. You see what I'm saying? And I'm writing Timothy Evans about that. What happens in 2020, in September 2020, that same council that found him not qualified right here, now all of a sudden, after Timothy Evans is getting complaints that he's messing up my mother's estate, what happens? Suddenly in 2020, that same council now rates him qualified. And guess what they say? He was elected to the bench in 2014. He is currently assigned to the probate division. Judge McGuire has little experience in probate law when he was assigned to the probate division. By all accounts, he worked hard to reduce the size of the learning curve and today is well respected.
Wow. Wow.
When it opens like that?
Over here, it said he had a probate practice in 2014 that still made him not be qualified. And they turned around and put him in the probate division. And then said that he had little experience in the probate division.
And Keith, I understand you say you can hire a court reporter, but you shouldn't have to hire a reporter.
Do you know how much those stenographers cost?
I was in a courtroom today. In there. I have a federal case. There's a stenographer in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you shouldn't have to hire a court reporter or a stenographer in a courtroom. That's the
and let me I have that law for stenographers.
Yeah, my mom just asked, isn't that against the law?
Right, that it says in the Illinois laws that all proceedings have court reporters and stenographers in them, and they also can have audio recordings because a court reporter is a public employee.
Right, that we pay
for those with our tax dollars. Yeah. It does not make a distinction between criminal court or civil court. It says court proceedings. So the fact that they have them in criminal court but don't have them in civil court, that's by design, so that there can be no record of the type of things that they do. Just like there's no stenographer in eviction court. So when you say you can pay for a stenographer, first of all, by law, according to Illinois law, one is supposed to be appointed to a case by the chief judge, which would be Timothy Evans. Also, it would be a violation of due process to say that a person has to pay for a stenographer, because all people cannot afford a stenographer, because stenographers are very expensive. And you have to pay them every time they show up. And they're like $300-400 an hour. Right. At this current time. I heard back then they were like $200 or some an hour. And then there's an article out called about the tricks of courts, and that's where this court agency, I think they're called Courtroom 5, did a whole write-up about the tricks that are played in the circuit courts, even when you go and hire a stenographer, about how, because the stenographer has to give their information before, before they come into your court proceeding. And they say that they'll cancel them at the last minute. They'll do a continuance after a couple of minutes, and all that time you're paying for that stenographer. So you, as a private person, has to keep forking out money for a stenographer when this attorney, who's from a law firm that has much more money,
Yep,
can hire a stenographer to come in there, but they don't. And you know why that lawyer doesn't? Because they come into the proceeding having full knowledge that there are no stenographers. There's no audio recording. You, as the litigant, is the only person, the private citizen, that comes into a court proceeding relying on the law that says that stenographers are to be a part of each legal proceeding. That doesn't make a distinction between criminal and civil. And you, as the citizen, are not told that there at best is not even an audio recording. So you assume that if you don't see a stenographer there, then surely it's got to be an audio recording, because that's what the law says. It's not until, like how I found out when I challenged something one day that the attorney said, and I said to the judge, which at that time was Judge O'Malley, and I said, no, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. I said, pull up the record. Pull up the record. And she said, there is no record. I said, what do you mean there is no record? There is no stenographer and there is no audio in probate. I couldn't believe it. So that's when I called Chief Timothy Evans' office to ask if that was true. And the clerk told me that, that there hadn't been stenographers at that time in 2017 in the last 15 years due to budget cuts.
Due to budget cuts?
Yes. Yes.
Not budget cuts.
Due to budget cuts. Yes.
This was 2019?
That was 2000. Yeah, probably like 2019. Yeah,
So
by the time.
Before COVID, all of that.
Oh yeah, long before COVID. COVID didn't close the courtrooms until, I know the exact date, March 13, 2020.
Well, I'm saying that because they were cutting budgets back then too, because of budget cuts. But this was way before that. They okay. Carry on. Okay, so we go. So now you have Judge Terrence McGuire. After Terrence McGuire, who's next?
No, it's been Terrence McGuire.
And
what happened was, right, he didn't know the law, so it was easy for this crooked attorney to just lead him around by the nose. So because I kept asking for the inventory, I kept demanding an appraisal. What they did, because the attorney had in his mind and my sister's mind that they was gonna quick sell the property. And then that's how me and my other sister would get our money, because we was gonna sell the property, and that's how we was gonna get our money. And then my sister felt that her and the attorney had in their mind how she was gonna be able to keep the money that was in my mother's bank accounts. And we were gonna get money by the selling of the building. And I'm like, no, we're not. And you're not selling the building because my mother had money. And why are you keeping on racking up these fees?
And when I wanted y'all to buy me out, nobody didn't want to buy me out.
Correct. While I was still in California and all that.
So now I'm here.
Now check this out. Going into probate, this is what you call an engagement letter, right? And this is dated August 4th, 2016. Right? Now I'm about to tie this to the ridiculousness of the attorney fees. Now, this is what gives the terms of the agreement between the attorney and my sister. See that both of them signed it?
Yes.
And what it says is that for the estate, my sister would put a $2,000 retainer to him, to the attorney, and that he would bill her every 30 days, and she would pay from the estate every 30 days. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. Think about that. The law firm, per David Feldman, was to bill the estate every 30 days.
Okay.
And she was to pay every 30 days. So, if that be the case, how in the world could the attorney fees had accumulated to over $29,000-$30,000? How?
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 And what were they billing for? What were they billing for?
How? It's impossible. If he's
Impossible.
billing her every 30 days and she's paying every 30 days, it's impossible for the attorney fees to accumulate that high. And the purpose of these type of contracts is to deter the attorney from dragging something out, and it's to keep you from just paying for unnecessary delays, unnecessary continuances, so that things can be done timely.
Exactly.
But what did they do? They stepped out of this contract. I think my sister paid a $2,000 retainer, and they paid two 30-day payments. He billed her twice after that in 30 days, and she paid twice after 30 days. Once I came here, come on, once I came to that court date, and they made me miss that court date. What
Right.
did they do? They stepped out of the contract and no longer upheld the contract. And what did they do? Start running the real estate like a cash cow. Just gonna start running. They was just running the tab.
Running the tab because they were gonna take it
Running
either
the
way.
tab. Come on, trying to make the attorney fees get so high
That you just
that
walk out
now
away.
the court will force you to sell the property in order to pay his attorney fees.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? My mother died without owing anybody a dime. And a bogus attorney, through a bogus process, could rack attorney fees so high that the debt that my dead mother ends up getting on her estate is attorney fees. What? That will force us to have to sell the property. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Now, where does Tina LaPusa play a role in this? And who is Tina LaPusa? And the reason why I'm going to go to her because I'm tied in. Again, I know a little bit, y'all. So who is Tina LaPusa?
Tina LaPusa is the person of the public administrator office. She's the real estate investor.
Real estate investor.
Now, the real estate investigator for the public administration's office.
Also has her real estate license.
Correct. Now, when we talk about them trying to do a quick sale on the property and them start letting the property go down and refusing to fix it, what they got the judge to do, Judge Terrence McGuire, was to write in a court order that excessive repairs have been done to the property. I'm like, well, no, you all are doing just the opposite. You all are trying to let the property depreciate. You won't give us the money. You won't be financially transparent so we can get the property fixed. No, what are you talking about? Extensive repairs have been done. No, they haven't. So I called the city for the city to come out and do an inspection on the property so that it would be an official document of what the property, the condition of the property really was, so that we could force my sister to do a financial accounting and get the money to fix the property. Wow. Well, once I did that, what you think happened? My sister, I don't want to be the executor no more. I don't want to be the executor no more. And in the meantime, I'm filing a recusal against the judge. Once I did that, what did the attorney do? I'm getting off the case because his law firm, Strauss and Malt, ended up getting rid of him.
And this is Feldman.
Yes. And so what did they do? Once that started happening, the judge went to the public office of public administration. And what did they do? With a fraudulent order admitting will to probate and appointed representative by Louis Apostle and Leah Jubakowski. That's what they did. They they put it illegally into public administration to keep it from coming to me, because they knew that I had the fraudulent documents on them.
You had the fraudulent document.
Yes, and it would be no way that that attorney would get any fees. So my sister filed in the court that she no longer wanted to be the executor. Now remember, I said per my mother's will, if my sisters did what? If she died, the inability or refusal to be the executor, that function was supposed to come to me. She withdrew as executive. So this is her refusing to do it. Rather than the judge giving those rights over to me, he illegally jumped it into public administration.
Public administration.
Once it got in public administration, that's when Tina LaPusa ended up taking over the estate, illegally taking over the estate. And ever since then, these tenants have been in this building since February 2023. They have not paid not one dime of rent.
$1 and squatting.
When I filed to have them move, Tina LaTusa, however you say her name, interceded, called them and told them they didn't have to move. They didn't have to give me a dime. And instead, what are they trying to do now? They're trying to illegally evict me out the property.
Illegally evict you, and that is your mother's property that given to you and your sister.
Yes.
And it's in a will. And it's in a will. And someone says this, and this makes sense. Someone says, Miss Jessica, was the attorney interested in purchasing the property? You think the attorney was trying to take the property?
I think that here in South Shore, I think that a lot of these attorneys, like we just said, all these people in Cook County have some type of real estate license, some type of real estate practice. Right now, they are heavily trying to gentrify South Shore and the South Side and the West Side, period. I think that all these attorneys, a lot of them are parts of LLCs and investment companies. And I think that if they can get this property from you, yes, they will turn around by one of these investment companies that they got LLCs and stuff with and swoop up this property. You got to keep in mind that the Democratic Party is not in favor of the private citizens owning anything anymore. They want everything owned by corporations. They want everything owned by the government. They don't want the individual to own things anymore. That's the reason why they're letting property taxes getting out of control. Or you have situations like mine where there's no mortgage on the building, but if you constantly raising the property taxes, you're forcing the landlords to keep raising the rent. And now the rents are getting so high that your everyday average person can't afford to pay the rent. And now here comes the city and the county with these vouchers for these illegals. And now they're forcing you almost to have to rent to illegals because they're giving the vouchers and the everyday person can't pay rent. So it is very possible that these hired estate attorneys own these LLCs and investment companies, and yes, will come right around as soon as you lose that property and have somebody come and buy that property that they're in business with. Yes.
Someone wants to know, did the attorney have a lien on the property?
No, he has no way to have a lien because we don't owe him anything. I got an email from him that say that we don't owe him any attorney fees. No, there's no lien on the property. Nope. They don't have any justification for a lien. Yeah, they trying. Look at this word. Look at this word in this public administration. It's a word called, it's cheap. ESCHEATS. Now, what that means is like what they're trying to do to this estate. We read that the Office of Public Administration will only get your estate if there's no will, to appoint an executive if there's no family. So no family. So in that case, who's taking care of that property? Who can keep it up until it gets sold, or until the county takes it, or who? If you don't have a will, you don't have no access. So now the Office of Administration, has to step in and take care of that property. Has to fund what's needed for that property. And that's what they call bringing it into escheats. That's what they were trying to do with this property, by depriving me of income from the tenants, to try to be where I can't pay to keep the property. I can't pay the water bill. I can't pay the gas bill. I can't pay the property taxes. Because if I lose it to property taxes, that will supersede the will. If I can't pay the property taxes, they can still take it. But this is the second year in a row that I paid the property taxes to keep the building, and I continue to fight them.
Obama Center. When did they start the Obama Center?
When I first got back here. Yeah, like when I first got back here around like 2018, 2019, over in there. I guess right around that time.
How far is the Obama Center from where you are?
Okay. Oh, I could walk. It's across the street from right up the street from Hyde Park.
That's why they want it. That's one of the reasons why they want it. But that's another. Yeah. I just want to put that on record.
Yeah, no, it's South Shore. They want South Shore bad. Yeah, I could walk to the Obama Center from here if I just wanted to. Yeah, right up Stony Island.
When this was first put in probate, the same people that are living in there that's squatting now, were they there?
The basement tenant was not. The basement tenant was another couple that had been here for like 20 some years. And then after the husband died, the wife left. So that tenant is different. Now the ones on the first floor, remember when I kept saying every time the first judge wanted to pull a trick, she would bring another judge in?
Yes.
One of the tricks that she pulled once they wouldn't do a buyout, once they wouldn't do a buyout, once they wouldn't sell the property, that's when I filed a petition in the court to say, well, then I'm going to move into the property. That crooked attorney put in a court document that I was a legatee, not an heir.
What's a legatee? What's a legatee?
A legatee would be like a grandchild, a niece, a nephew. Like my son and my daughter are my mother's legatees. It's a legatee to my mother. We're heirs. Your children are your heirs. But like your grandchildren, it's a legatee. Legatee.
So your grandchildren are legatees.
Yes, and nieces, nephews.
Okay.
They're legatees, right. And so he put it in there, and because remember, my last name is different from my sisters and my mother. So it was easy to misrepresent me in court documents as a legatee. Because I had a different last name. And so he put in the court records that I was a legatee and I didn't have any legal authority to occupy any unit in this building. Yes.
Even with the will.
Yes. And even with him knowing that I was my mother's daughter, because he's been knowing our family for 50-some years.
But even in the will, it says Jessica Thomas Jackson.
Yes.
That's how your mother had it.
Yes.
Okay, just want to get that. So somebody asks, can this be taken to federal court? Can you please explain?
I did put it in federal court because of what you're seeing right now, because they were violating my rights in the circuit court. Because in order for this to go on this long, it goes without saying, it had to be constant violations of due process, which is the 14th Amendment. It goes without saying that it was housing discrimination because they're after the Black communities like this. So based on that, I filed a federal case.
When did you file it, Miss Jackson?
In the United States District Court, Northern District of Illinois, Eastern Division.
When did you do it?
This is my plaintiff. I filed the original October 6, 2023, and then I amended the complaint because remember, my format wasn't correct.
Yeah.
And so I amended it and filed it on December 12th, 2023. You see plaintiff's amended complaint.
And what happened to that? What's going on?
On September 19th, because this has been going on like this, and as you all know, I'm down at City Hall all the time talking about this case. So eventually, after the situation with Stanley Moore didn't go anywhere, I left the county commissioners alone about it for a minute, and I kept dealing with the alderman in City Hall. So eventually, back in September 2024, I went back to the county. Me and you both start going back to county meetings. And so I spoke about it again at the county meeting. Bill Laurie, Commissioner Bill Laurie, because remember I said I was on the cuffs. I'm on the cuffs of Stanley Moore and Bill Laurie. So this time Bill Laurie gets up and he gives me his card with his number on the back of it and tells me to call him so that he can deal with this. Lamont Williams, who is his chief of staff, and who's his chief of staff and also part of general counsel, has seen me in the county meeting several times. And he had come over to me and talked to me about my case too. And also he has seen my will because just so happened that day I had a copy of the will in my purse. Because I'm always dealing with stuff down there for filing something or wanting to show the Alderman Talaferro and Greg Mitchell who have been helping me. So I always would have documents with me. So this particular day, I had the will with me. And so he said, when I'm talking about Lamont Williams, said to me, he said, well, you know, this is, I'm an attorney and, I did my grandmother's will, and what I did so that she wouldn't have any problems, I named the executor, and then I also named successor executors. And so I said, oh, like my mother did, and I went in my purse and I showed him the will that my mother had did an executor and successor executor, like what we talked about earlier. Oh, okay. So him, Bill Laurie, Talaferro, Alderman Chris Talaferro, and Alderman Greg Mitchell, which Greg Mitchell is my actual alderman for the 7th Ward. And Talaferro had approached me about it when I first came down to City Hall talking about it. And so because he was an attorney, he had came to me, introduced himself to me, and told me if there was anything that he could do to help me, that he would try to help me. So that's how Talaferro got involved. So on September 19th, 2024, those 4 people met with Leah Jopakowski and Thomas Leonweber to go over my case and to resolve it because it's gone on too long and it's gone too far. Bill Laurie told me to come to the meeting. I was on my way to the meeting. This is September 19th, 2024. The meeting was going to be at 3:30 at the Public Administrations Building, 69 West Washington. I got on the train. I was on my way to the meeting. I get a phone call about 15 minutes of being on the train. I get a phone call from that Lamont Williams, who, like I said, was the chief of staff for Bill Laurie. And he told me that they didn't want me to come to the meeting, that if I came to the meeting, they was going to cancel the meeting because the case was in litigation. And he told me that the aldermen were already there. So for them to go ahead and have the meeting, and for me to wait for them downstairs, and that they had all the documentation because we had met prior to this meeting, and I had given them all the documentation. I had even typed out what each document meant and all that, so it would be easy to follow. They got in the meeting. Since they told me not to come, I didn't come, and I stayed downstairs at those black tables by the Daily Center, waiting for them to come out. They come out the meeting, they come across the street, and it's Bill Lord. I mean, it's Tyler Farrell, Greg Mitchell, and Lamont Williams. Bill Laurie wasn't with them. I asked them, where was Bill Laurie? They said that he had a sudden meeting that he had to go to. So then they told me that they had come with an agreement with them, and that during the meeting they had showed them the fraudulent document that this Leah Jubakowski had signed, and that she identified that it was the fraudulent document. Because to be exact, let me be real exact, real fast. Look, this is the first fraudulent document they did, which is the cross petition for probate of wills and for letters of administration with will annex. Now, you see here on line number 4, and I had no idea that this document had even been filed until one day me and Alderman Tyler Farrell was talking about the case, and he asked me for the case number and asked me if I would mind him looking up the case. So he did, and he found this document. And he said, this is how it got in public administration. He said, look at line number 4. Line number 4 says that my sister, Heletta Yvonne Thomas, is resigning as executor. And then he said, Jessica Thomas Jackson, who is barred from acting by this court, and Harriet Yvette Thomas, who has not petitioned to act. So Tyler Farrell said, you was banned from the court because they saying that's the reason why you're not going to be the successor. I said, I've never been banned from no court. I said, I've never been banned from anything. What are you talking about? And he sent me a copy of this. And that's when I saw this. So when they had the meeting on September 19th, 2024, they had the same Leah Jubakowski in that meeting, who did this form right there. She was in the meeting. They show her this fraudulent form. They tell her, this is what they tell me, that they tell her that there's no order filed in the court that shows that I was ever barred from the court. So this is a fraudulent document. Was my name on there? Yeah, right here. This is your name. You and Louis Apostle. You all signed this document and filed it in the courtroom of Judge Terrence McGuire. And this is how it got in public administration. Now, this is a fraudulent document, so you all need to get it out of public administration. They agreed to do that, said that it would be a settlement conference. They told them also, you all need to get the tenants out of this building because they've been there squatting. They agreed to that. Next thing you know, the next day, September 20th, 2024, I get an email to my phone that instead of them moving forward with the settlement conference like they agreed, the very next day, my federal case was dismissed. It was dismissed. And it was dismissed by this judge, John Blakery, Robert Blakery, who has a reputation for dismissing cases in federal court that are against Illinois judges. The very next day.
And I just want to say, side note, sidebar, that judge is currently on Madigan's case. And he also is the judge that's giving Larry Hoover a hard time getting out. Just want to put that in there. That judge right.
And let's put this in there too. This defendant, Thomas Weber, who was the first one to start this eviction mess for the public administrators. He is related to Harry Lynn Weber, the federal judge that was over R. Kelly's case. So now here it is. He's in circuit court, this Thomas Lynn Weber, breaking all kind of laws, doing all kind of wrongdoing, and nobody's gonna stop him because after all, he's related to the federal judge Harry Lynn Weber.
Harry Lynn Weber, who just passed away.
He just It was the judge that was over R. Kelly's case.
Yep.
He just passed away about what, maybe 3 months ago, something like that, 3-4 months ago.
Yeah, about 3-4 months ago. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that happened in September.
September 19th, 2024. Yes.
And what they say they're a dream team. They call themselves a dream team.
Yeah.
So what
Bill Walton told me on a telephone call that they were the dream team, that for me to trust them, that they had everything figured out, and that I was lucky to have the dream team working for me. Yes, that's what Bill Laurie told me, correct.
Yeah, okay. So since, what has the dream team done since? Since it's been, have you had a settlement conference?
No.
Have you had?
Instead, what the public administration office has done is they tried to move forward with with the illegal eviction.
Illegal eviction. Now I have a question. This illegal eviction that they're doing. What about the other two tenants?
Oh, they're not giving them no eviction papers. They just trying to evict.
So just you.
Because if they get me out, then they can sell the building. And you know, like how when let's say you live in a building, right? And let's say the owners change. Now the owners come to you because you're a current tenant, and they tell you that we're the new owners. And now let's say you have been paying $1,000 for rent. Now they're coming to tell you they're the new owners, and now your rent is going to be $1,800 a month. Now it's up to you. You can stay and pay the $1,800, or either you can go ahead and leave in 30 days. That's the way they plan on doing them. Right. Get me out, and then they'll come in telling them the building has been sold. The new owners are Sarah Jones, and Sarah Jones going to come and give them some rent that this high that they can't pay, and that's how they're gonna get them out. But they can't. Well, I was gonna say they can't get them out until they get, but that's not true because they're not supposed to have any jurisdiction over the tenants. And you see right here that I filed in court once Talaferro showed me this document that was false. Because remember, I said I didn't know that it existed. Once Talaferro found it, then I filed in the federal court plaintiff's declaration of ownership and implementation of successor executor rights. The judge completely ignored it, never ruled on it. And then because I filed that, this is when I sent certified mail, a certified letter to the tenants, telling them on January 26, 2024, that they needed to move by April 1st, 2024. Because remember, I told you I filed that, I called the city inspector, and they came and did the report. And so I'm telling them, I need you all to move because I'm getting the build. I want to get the building fixed. The Tina LaPusa called them and told them they didn't have to move and don't give me a dime of money.
The real estate investigator that works for public administrator that also has her real estate license.
Correct.
Someone told me, and yeah, we did forget. Said don't forget the use of the Department of Buildings and Code violations, right? Because you were working with Kim Rock. You know they were supposed to.
Which they have stalled that back because of this and everything. So they have stalled that back. Okay. But when instead what is happening, they trying to do this illegal eviction. Instead, they trying to get me on not paying the property taxes.
Right. Now, this is your second year paying these property taxes, and everything's still in public administration, and you get and illegally evict you.
Yep.
And you have to pay the taxes because they're gonna try to get it.
They'll
Taxes.
take it by
They're gonna
that
try to sell.
auction.
They'll sell the building.
Right, by that auction.
By the auction. So you got to do that. On top of, and your daughter is on the papers for legal eviction, and it's on her, now it's on her credit, or when anybody looks up anything she does or anything like that, you'll see she'll have her name on there, and she has nothing to do with, this is her grandmama's house. This is her grandmama's building. This is a building.
She's not an heir. The building doesn't go to her. It comes to me and my two sisters.
But anything happens, it goes to your kids.
And my son and my daughter. Yeah.
But she has nothing to do. But she's being thrown in. Y'all both. Well, it's illegal eviction. But the fact that her credit could be messed up, or if she's trying to get something, because he has to explain to them how they're trying to illegally evict her out of her mother's building that was given to her by her grandmother.
Right. And then on top of this, look at the type of court order that they did. Look at this.
Somebody gave us $5. Thank you.
That's how you do it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
He's a fan of you. He's a fan of you, Miss Jackson, all the way out in California. We needed her in the Bay Area to deal with Newsom, Brad. She's a tough chick.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Thank you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the support. And just, look out for your property out there. But look at the type of court order that they did. Look at this. Look at this. Don't you see that it's not stamped by the court? Don't you see it's not signed by the judge? It doesn't say which judge it is. This is the type of stuff that they have in their court records. Now, keep in mind, there's no stenographers. There's no stenographers. So this is what, if you ever try to appeal, just the type of stuff that's in the court records.
And you got people that's trying to tell you that it got to be more to it. Chicago is named the most corrupt city on the planet. Everybody knows Chicago's corrupt. So to say that it got to be more to it is crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy. What did you say where the cases go to what, Ms. Jackson?
They say where cases go to die. What we found out, when they go to die, what we found out is that that once you file something, that final motion, that judge can take as long as they want to answer. So that's the situation in your case. It's just been sitting there.
My mom just said it. She said that's happening in our case.
Right.
And we're in federal court.
And y'all got an attorney.
And we got an attorney. Two. Mama's two. Yeah, so this is just straight corruption. So when people ask us why are we going down there every day, until the feds come and until we can get these people out of their seats and in jail,
and until we get our property clear,
and our case is settled. This is it, baby.
This is it. This is it. And this is it. And this is what gave birth to Chicago Flips Red. This is what gave birth to this. Zoe, when we first went down there, because I met Zoe because Blakemore told me Zoe was out there protesting about her mother's property. So that's what made me go to look for Zoe at City Hall out there protesting. I had already come to City Hall and had started going up to City Hall meetings and public speaking. So when I met Zoe, I told her about my probate. issue. She told me about her mother's eminent domain issue. And immediately we start talking about it, connecting about it. And finally, one day I tell Zoe, come up to public speaking. She come up to public speaking. Okay, now after that, Blake Moore starts telling us, come to this meeting, come to that meeting, come to this meeting, come to that meeting. And we start going to all those meetings, telling our stories. Eventually, we went to the Public Building Commissions meeting, the PBC. That's when Zoe, because that's a much more intimate meeting, it's smaller than City Hall. Brandon Johnson and Tony Preckwinkle both are in that meeting. So when people tell you that's the city, this the county, this the county, this the city, understand that they overlap and are intertwined in a lot of ways. For example, it's City Hall, where Brandon Johnson was talking about doing the property tax hike. He was making the mandate from the city. However, when the property taxes would have gotten deemed to be necessary in order to do it, we would have been paying those property taxes where? Through Cook County. So that's a clear indication that the two are intertwined. So at this particular meeting, Mayor Johnson and Tony Preckwinkle are both in this meeting. And in this meeting, Zoe gets up and says, because you only have 2 minutes to talk at the PBC meeting. So Zoe gets up and says, Brandon Johnson, Tony Preckwinkle, I was in Georgia when they changed Georgia from red to blue. She said, and I do the exact opposite here. If you don't settle my mother's case, I will flip this red. That happened. I was sitting there and George Blakemore was sitting there. Later, Zoe said it from the mic in public speaking that she would flip Chicago red. And I was in agreement with that. That, yeah, we just need to flip red. You're right. Yeah, we need to flip red. And then as time went on, we start developing that idea all the way up to and including where it became very, very, very evident that the local Democratic Party wasn't going to do anything for us to help us. All the judges were Democrats. All the public administrators are Democrats. All the aldermen are Democrats. All the commissioners were Democrats. The mayor's Democrat. The Cook County commissioner is a Democrat. The board president is a Democrat. The Illinois Attorney General is a Democrat. The governor is a Democrat. And at the time, we had Kamala Harris and Joe Biden in the White House, which were also Democrats. So there was absolutely nowhere we could turn. We was in a litigation maze. Yep. Eventually, that's when we start going at that mic about Trump, come on in here. Mark Carter and all them were talking about Trump or whatever too, and that's a fact. But what we start saying is that it was out of necessity that Trump be in office. It's a clip with me saying, Brandon Johnson, you give me no choice. I got to go to the federal. I got to get Trump in office because I got to get some help with my case. I got to save my mother's estate. So that's how Chicago Flip Red came to be, us out of the necessity of trying to get help with saving our property. And we've been down there ever since.
Can't get no lawyer. That's what somebody said. You can't get any lawyers. You can't get any lawyer. We have a lawyer. I had to find a lawyer.
No, you got a lawyer.
Got a lawyer that's watching this lawyer because I don't trust nobody. But we were pro se. Miss Jackson was pro se. You cannot get no lawyers. You can't get no designed and set up that you cannot get lawyers. No one wants to touch it. Everybody's no, I don't want to deal with Chicago. I don't want to deal with the government. I don't want to deal with the city. You know how the city is. I don't know what to deal with Cook County. So people just give up or they just let it go or I don't want to deal with it. And that's just not my mentality. There's no way in the world that you think that this is like normal. Like, we got a constitution. We have an Illinois. Every state has their own constitution. Like, I've never in my life have seen anything like this. And I laugh, I get frustrated, I get mad, I go through all the changes of emotions. But God, I just know that God has me in this fight. That's why I met you, Ms. Jackson, because there's just no way that the city of Chicago, Cook County, these corrupt Democrats, these no good ass black people in these leadership is gonna do us dirty like this. And
they doing
the city self-insured. The city self-insured.
And then on top of that, as it pertains to a lawyer too, when it comes to probate, the Daily Center is the only venue that does probate for all of Cook County. For all of Cook County, the Daily Center is the only venue for probate. Now, when you talk about my case, in order for an attorney to settle my case, it means he would have to divulge the wrongdoing of these judges. He would have to divulge the wrongdoing of these public administrators. None of those attorneys are going to do that, because that would be professional suicide. If they came and busted out these judges for my case, then after I'm gone, where are they going to practice law at? You see how corrupt the city is? Now they're not going to be able to practice law. That's just the bottom line with that. Number two, you heard me say my mother had a lawyer that wrote up her will, a full-fledged will. Then on top of that, we got to hire a state attorney to put it into probate. So are you suggesting now that I get another lawyer to make that lawyer do what the first lawyer was supposed to? Come on. No, it's a blessing that I got the estate away without these bogus attorney fees that he was trying to do. Why would I put us in a situation now to get some attorney fees when the law is already there? Especially when you consider the fact what I just said. They sat in a meeting and showed these people the fraudulent documents with their name on it. And it was them in the same room. So clearly it ain't about an attorney. It's about corruption. And being a pro se has really saved the estate, because I'm able to catch them on everything they do. If I had an attorney, they can go through that attorney. They're going to make deals through that attorney. And eventually that attorney is going to come back to me, tap me on my shoulder, and tell me about how, well, there's really nothing I can do. And now I'm really done, because that attorney is my mouthpiece. It's my legal mouthpiece. Now it's really nothing I can do. Or if I get an attorney, and let's say this attorney is the most honest attorney in the whole wide world, means me good, he's following the law. The reality is this: I'm going against the city, the county. They have unlimited tax funds, unlimited money. Unlimited. And what they will do is what they're doing. They'll drag it and drag it and drag it. And every time you have to file something, you have to pay. You got to pay that attorney for everything that they file. And in federal court, it's real expensive every time they file something. So now, even if you got the most honest attorney in the whole wide world, eventually you as a regular everyday person is going to run out of money. You're not going to be able to keep paying that attorney. So now that's how they wear you down too, because now you lose your attorney and now it's just you and you don't have no more money to fight with. And now they go ahead and do what they do. Being a pro se, not only do you catch everything that they do, but I don't have to worry about running out of money because I'm representing myself. And there's no person that they can go in between and do things that eventually I won't be able to find, like what's happening now.
Somebody says the Supreme Court can't do anything. I'm gonna speak on my behalf.
Go ahead.
Still in federal court waiting for them to answer. Since November 1st of last year, Miss Jessica was in there when I was able to explain to the judge how corrupt this is. And we have transcript. The issue is he's conflicted. This is first of all, now everybody knows me and Miss Jessica's case. Now everybody knows who we are. Now everybody sees what we got going on. You've got the politicians out there lying, saying that we're getting paid for the Republican Party. That's why we're out there, while we're doing it. You've got people that know this is know the real reason. Know they did this because they know a family member has to deal with this. But the issue is my judge. I want to believe that he's a good judge, but he also took an oath. We have all the evidence. My mother got a video, got a voicemail. My mother has everything to show. My godfather has everything, everything, the deed, the trust, everything, all of the documents that was fraudulent, what they went and put in and all that. But you going against, it's like a fraternity. That's what I call it. It's like the government is a fraternity, right? And they have taken this oath. And yes, you think it's for them to uphold the Constitution and it's for the citizens and to protect the citizens and stuff. But it's really to protect their fraternity, their sorority. So they got to go against their fraternity brothers. And that right there it's Danny Solis, prime example. Because Danny Solis wore that wire. So yeah, everybody's going to jail, but they calling Danny Solis a rat. He's this, he's that. He can't even come outside. He got to get a security guard because he went against the code. So because we have all of the information to show it, we have federal court. They violated the straight 14th and 15th Amendment, plus other federal laws, not just those two laws.
Right, not just those
multiple federal laws. But he's
and all local court rules.
And local court rules. So for me, for Supreme Court, that's we can't make it to Supreme Court because he hasn't made a ruling yet. But I feel like he's gonna have no choice to make a ruling after January 20th.
And then on top of that, how can I appeal if there's no transcript? You can't appeal without a transcript.
Yeah, because you never even got to talk in federal court.
Every time you
tried to put something in.
Yes, you remember.
You talk. See, I got to talk. I was able to talk to the judge. Miss Jessica, everything she tried to do to try to speak to the judge, they would deny it. Any motion that Miss Jessica put in, they would deny it. She never even was able to walk in the courtroom to explain. So yeah. Another person asked about someone else asked about the news. Dorothy Tucker came to my house.
Go ahead, Zoe.
With donuts from Stan's. Okay, I'm triggered to this day every time I see a Stan's. Okay, she came with her producer, good producer about my age, a little bit younger maybe, and we started telling the story, and of course she's trying to find little things, and then my mother plays the voicemail from the law department. They look at each other. They start writing down things. They get stuff. Next thing I know, she tells me, don't go to no other reporter. She's going to take my story. 2 weeks later, she sent me an email and with something for you saying, yeah, they said it was building violations. That's why they knocked it down. Girl, you cannot knock down. I asked her, I said, okay, building violations, cool. Okay, all right, we'll say that. Where's the court order? Why does the permit that I showed you and you have in your email the demolition permit says the owner is the city of Chicago? Where is, I said, you have the voicemail from the law department. It gives the 3 options of what to do. We have the deed. We have the top. Like, what are you talking about? The city of Chicago Buildings Department unlawfully demolished a building that said the city of Chicago owned it because they believe they owned a building that they never owned, and we have the deed,
And you got
and
the
the title, and the
transcript.
trust,
And you
and the
got the
transcript.
transcript.
She told me, "I'm sorry, Zoe." So, and then what? Baby, about 3-4 months ago, me and Miss Jessica, wop 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 on that mic, 3 minutes. Your turn, Miss Jessica.
Yeah, yeah. And Dorothy Tucker, before I even knew Zoe, when I first got here, I went to Dorothy Tucker because I saw that she was an investigative reporter. So I went to Dorothy Tucker. I called her, sent her my documents and everything. I even sent her the documents, and this part I didn't even tell you all, how he tried to reach to Sacramento and tried to get involved in business of mine in Sacramento and default and deface my mother's will, or tried to alter my mother's will and all of that. I sent that to Dorothy Tucker, the documents, talked to her on the phone. She told me she didn't see anything. I said, what are you talking about? I just gave you a
Award-winning Dorothy
copy.
Tucker? Award-winning?
Award-winning Dorothy Tucker. I gave her a copy of my mother's original will, and I gave her a copy of the distorted will and altered will. She told me she didn't see nothing. And then she told me that she didn't see nothing. And then she asked me, had they taken the property? I said, no, I'm still in the property. I'm still fighting. I don't want, that's why I'm fighting. I don't want them to take the property. She told me, oh, well, it's nothing I can do because you still had the property. I said,
Yeah.
so are you saying that I got to lose my property for you to take the story? And she said, yes. Then let's go on to something else. Once I start being down to City Hall and people start taking my clips and stuff, other media outlets start contacting me. And I would go on there and I would talk about the immigration situations. But every time I would talk about the fact that they taking Black people housing, that part would never make it to the clip. Or either when I said that I wanted to do this story about they taking Black people's property. You know, immigration, that's true. And immigration is the way that they're moving us out of our neighborhoods. But they also are stealing our property. I want to do a story about that. I'll talk to my producer. We'll see. We'll talk to my to finally I end up having to tell networks, I'm not doing another story, another interview on your channel until you take the story about Black people's property being taken.
Yep.
They did not do that, and that's how come I don't be on news outlets like that. It's not because I'm not getting picked up. I don't have the opportunity. No, if you cannot take this story, then I'm not interested because I can beat up on Brandon Johnson on my own.
Right.
I don't want to get a news outlet to bang up on him. And I'm
Right.
not going to, and I always tell Zoe, I'm not carrying other people's water. Black people are not the only ones that's upset about immigration, illegal immigration.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot keep on being where we talk for everybody, but won't nobody talk for us. So if you
Amen.
not going to talk about this story, about them stealing our property, then no, I'm not coming back on your channel. Because I'm just ain't
Right.
frantic like that for limelight like that. It's more important to me that we get justice in these courts.
Yep. The club that I was able to get on the news was the Breakfast Club. Somebody said on here, and I was able to them. All that was the only platform. You know, I thank Charlotte let me go on there to explain what they're doing here in City Chicago and Cook County. Someone says, how could the building? Because they got so comfortable taking our buildings and knocking them down because they're getting money. They're getting kickbacks. Every building that they get, the demolition they call out to go knock our buildings down, they get a kickback. But what they do is they take these buildings demolition permits, they put anything, owner, city of Chicago. City of Chicago, they don't think nobody's going to fight back or say anything. So this time they had this permit, and it did the city of Chicago. They just didn't think that my mother was going to be able to get that copy, and we have it. My mother kept my. I mean, I'm thankful now, but growing up, my mother's office had papers on papers on papers on papers on papers. When my mother was in the hospital, when they put her in the hospital after this, my mother has about 14 copies of every piece of paper that's needed to win this case, because my mother just kept having it, just kept saving everything because she knew it wasn't right. But you can't get no lawyer. You would think that you'll be able to get a lawyer, but you can't. And when you know something's not right, you have to start doing your own investigation. You have to do your own research. And when it came to my mother, they put my mother in the hospital. I was no tolerance. I didn't care. I would protest all summer. I protest all summer from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Then I would come home and I would be on the computer and talking to Miss Jessica. Being on the computer and talking to Miss Jessica, and then going on that mic, finally going on there, because we had no outlet. You have no outlet. Anytime you try to talk to somebody, they always try to tell you, well, see, this is what you were supposed to have. You were supposed to have this, and that, and da-da-da-da-da. And you like, what? Yeah, but see, you ain't doing it right. Like, what did you talk? Yeah, they took my mom property too, but see, that's because they didn't have it like that. And da-da-da-da, to the point that it was just getting irritated, because when I'd be out there protesting, everybody that went past me, including them AKAs that they praised about 3 times that summer, some of them would come out and say, yeah, they did that to my family too. Not the AKAs, not the Alpha Kappa Alphas, not the AKAs. Y'all couldn't find no civil rights lawyers or eminent domain lawyers to save y'all property to the point that y'all just got it. We don't have it. That's a problem. We don't have no eminent domain lawyers, black eminent domain lawyers, or any we don't have any black civil rights lawyers. We don't have no black real estate lawyers that's willing to fight for the injustices in real estate. Not the real estate lawyers that's going to be there once you close on your house. I'm talking about fighting for the injustices. That's why we have no generational wealth, because we have no black attorneys, real estate attorneys, that's willing to fight these cases and go up against the corruption when it comes to any local or federal government. That is why. That's why we can't give up until the feds get here.
Right. And then her question, how can the city own the building? Because they're refusing to transfer ownership. They're not claiming that they own it, but they're refusing to transfer ownership to me and my sisters. They should have transferred ownership to us. How is the property tax still coming to this address, still in my mother's name? All that is still, everything is still in my mother's name, but you are just refusing to transfer ownership to me and my sisters.
Yeah. And what their thing is, they think that eventually they're going to just leave. They're eventually they're just going to give up. I'm the last person. It turned into a game when I had to realize that Flip Chicago Red got to really happen. Like, oh, okay, you don't think Trump getting in office. Oh, my mama, Trump getting in office. Y'all crazy as hell if y'all think that y'all going to sit here and really ignore us, talk about how terrible Trump is and how he's unconstitutional, how he's going to overturn the government, when y'all don't respect anything about the government.
You don't adhere to not one law, not to one law.
He's a convicted felon. He's a felon. He's the corrupt person. What are y'all? Please explain, what is Chicago? What are these Chicago Democrats? What are they?
I just showed you they're criminals. I just showed you all these documents with these Democrat public officials' names on them. I just showed you a complete process of that they have denied and had complete disregard for. I just showed you the documents with their names on it. Now, for me, again, the Chicago Flip Red came out of necessity of I need somebody who can help me. Trump, as it pertains to an individual, as Black people, I don't see why, especially a certain population of us, don't see the who is that?
He got $10. I can't.
Oh,
Maguro O'Hara, thank you. So you two keep on fighting the fight. The last few years have made me decide to support and flip red along with others in my community. Thank you. Let's go. All hands on deck. We got it. We all we got.
yeah, we all we got, and
Yeah,
that's real
literally.
talk.
We
And
all we
my
got.
literally, and my thing was for the first time in history, we have a president of the United States that you really do not have to convince how corrupt the courts are because he's been a victim of it. He's been a victim of these courts. So now I don't have to try to make him believe that the courts here are corrupt, that Cook County is corrupt, that Chicago is corrupt, because he knows firsthand. We as Black people need to take advantage of that. Stop letting them tell us about how he a racist. He did that. And we need to take advantage of the fact that all the hooping and hollering we do about the justice system, the criminal courts, and da-da-da-da, use this as an advantage to straighten out the things that's wrong with the judicial system in the criminal court and the civil courts. Because the thing of immunity has been around. He did not invent immunity. Trump did not invent that concept to the law. That's part of, I think it's in the Constitution, immunity. Now, immunity means that they cannot be sued civilly, but it does not mean they cannot be prosecuted criminally. What we're dealing with here in Illinois is an absent Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, who won't press charges on these corrupt politicians. He's missing in action. And if they don't have to answer to anybody, if there's no threat of being locked up, then there's really nowhere to go with this. You can have all kind of laws, all type of policies, all type of procedures. But if you get into court and if the judges do not uphold the law, you still back to nothing. The laws is not a debate of the probate laws. It's not a debate of the public administration laws. It's not a debate of the 14th Amendment of due process. The issue is the judges are not following the law. That's what got this tied up. Not the lack of law, the fact that the judges are not following the law and the Attorney General is not making them, which brings on the necessity of going to the federal. And if we would have went to the federal with the Democrats still being in office, we still would be in the same boat that we're in. You have to understand what the necessity of changing political parties are. We need help. We cannot continue in a city where there's absolutely no political help for us. And I don't know what part of that,
No people understand.
right. You don't
Anton,
understand.
somebody asked that we've been on Anton Daniels. Miss Jackson has been on Anton.
Yes, he was very nice.
Yeah.
And Danny has been on Anton Daniels as well.
Yes. So, yes. Yes, they're not upholding the law, and they haven't been upholding the law for a very long time. Somebody has said, is Walter Burnett, as you say, he's a bank robber. Yes. Yeah. So if he's able to, he robbed the bank, and he also is robbing the government. since '95. And he's robbed Cabrini Green. He's robbed. He's robbed everything. He just robbed the city again for $425,000 for his new vice mayor office. He is a robber. Okay, he is the. If you see the word robbery, you'll see Walter Burnett Jr. Okay, so yeah, absolutely. But this is Chicago. Corrupt politicians. They take pride in this. They don't really hide it. And I think this is the first time, because they going to jail. I don't care what nobody say. And it's coming. It's happening. It's coming. It's happening. People are already resigning. Another lady just resigned today because she don't want no parts of what's about to happen. The calm before the storm, baby. And that's just what it is. However, the reason why Chicago is getting all of this, making all this noise. Yes, the immigration. Yes, our slow, who doesn't know how to govern. Also, two people who consistently went down there and still for 2 years. For 2 years and sitting in those meetings, watching the money being passed, Miss Jessica saying, damn, they using our statistics for everything. Stop using it. They don't even use statistics no more. They don't even talk about it no more. You understand? But to pass this money, the TIF money, I said I'm gonna take a chance, I'm gonna take a day and just talk about the TIF money, because now more people are asking about TIF money. But just watching all the TIF money, what Brian Centro Lopez is trying to hurry up and get over there, that's not gonna work because then some people ain't going. But you just see the corruption. And the thing is, what I see is I cannot let another Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Maxine Waters, any of those type of people this time come around. So when I say that, I cannot allow Emma Mitz. Y'all not gonna praise the Emma Mitz. Y'all not gonna praise a Pat Dow. You're not gonna praise a Walter Burnett. All these people are harmful to our community, and they're little young ones. Okay, you got the little crooked clergy in there, William Hall, all that stuff. They're my age. Well, now the young ones that's coming in there, they're my age. I cannot allow that to happen, because look what happened with Jesse Jackson, what with Al Sharpton, with Maxine Waters. Y'all, people praise these people who did absolutely nothing for our communities. That's why our Danny Davis, that's why they look like this. So I refuse. They have to get out. They have to get out before, because they're already ruining us. And I'll tell you that because there's 20 black aldermen down there, and they let me and Miss Jessica continue to go down there for 2 consecutive years, and not one person thought about we got to do something. They won't even hold a press conference. They won't even hold a press conference with us. The one thing about the Hispanic aldermen, they'll hold press conferences with their peoples now. Okay, they'll burn flags with them. They'll fire the people to come in there and act a fool in the room. They'll do whatever they do. But when it comes to black aldermen, you need to go get you a or they getting paid to come down here. Girl, don't be believing that. But Zoe and what's that? Zoe and Miss Jessica, they plants. Don't come in there. Instead of just seeing like these people have real cases. And we've been fighting these cases, and y'all refuse to settle the cases because y'all have been knocking people's buildings down and been stealing black people's property for a very long time and getting away with it. And now it comes to an end. There's no civil rights groups. There's no NAACP. I don't know, Urban League, they're nowhere. Rainbow Push, nowhere. None of them do. It's Flip Chicago Red. That's what it is, okay? Flip Chicago Red, Jessica Jackson, Zoe Leigh, Danny, and Dave. Yeah, that's it. So that's what it is. That's the closest to civil rights organization that you get, okay? That's the closest. So don't ask me about none of them. It's Flip. Buy a shirt.
You are hilarious, but you're absolutely right because I contacted all those organizations, the NAACP, the National Urban League. We talked to Jesse Jackson's assistant, and nothing,
Nothing.
nothing. Now all of them
Nothing.
agreed. Now all of them agreed. All of them agreed that they knew that this was an issue in Black communities. That
Right.
our properties were being taken. Nobody has ever denied that.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever said, no, that's not true. They're not doing it. It's never been denied.
ACLU won't help. Nobody. Nobody. The Department of Justice, Kwame Raoul, where are you? No one. This
No
is
one.
straight up corruption, straight up theft, straight up and if they do take any news, people take housing or anything like that, it's foreclosures and you already had to lose your home. And then because they do this every 4 or 5 years, right? They go and get Wells Fargo and Chase and all them and bring them to Congress and act like they're doing something, like how we watch them go off, like how they do a Jeanette Taylor down there at Congress going off on them. No criminal charges, just fine them $2-3 billion, then have them go out, do the same thing over again because it's a money racket.
It's a
Everybody
money
getting paid and
racket.
they losing their homes.
And it's just
Everybody
like
getting paid, they just losing their
everybody
homes.
getting paid off of us losing property. And
Yeah.
just like even on the federal level, when Obama was president and Kamala Harris was the attorney general, the U.S. attorney general, same thing. When that mortgage crisis of 2008, 2009, 2010 occurred, remember Kamala Harris and Obama administration called in all the big bankers. They called in Wells Fargo to Congress. They called in the BFA to Congress. They called in Chase to Congress. Yeah, they called me. You know how when you hear Kamala Harris saying, I took on the big banks. I took on the big bank. Yeah, she called them into Congress. They got questioned, but she didn't lock them up.
No.
She didn't lock those bankers up. They didn't go to jail.
No. And then they do it again. And they do it
Right, and then
every
they do
4 to
it right.
8
They
years.
don't lock them up.
Yeah, they do it. And the crazy thing is about this is Black people still bank at Wells Fargo. Black people still bank at Chase. And Black people still bank
Because
at these
we don't
places.
own no banks.
Because we don't own no banks. But I'm just saying the fact that I'm just saying the fact that we still at these banks, right? And they still do this every 8 to 10 years
Because
to us.
they don't go to jail
Because
in
they
large
don't go to
numbers
jail.
for it.
They will
They
come and
don't go to
sponsor.
jail.
They come and sponsor Black stuff in our neighborhoods. It's crazy. It is
They'll
a trend.
resign. They'll resign, but already have their pockets already got the mumps. They already got tons of money.
Yeah.
And they'll go ahead and resign, but they're not going to go to jail.
Why millions are displaced?
Why millions are displaced, millions are losing their properties. And it's happening over and over and over again.
Those same foreclosures, those same houses that are foreclosed, right? They go to the government auction to get auctioned off. This is what I'm saying.
And guess who buys them? Part of them that's down there in City Hall and the county.
Yeah.
That's why they won't help us.
It's big business.
It's big business. It's just like we said, Kamala Harris say they called them in, that she took them on, but they didn't go to jail. It's the same thing that the aldermen want to be able to say, that we sat down, we met with Jessica. We met with Jessica Jackson.
Yeah.
We met with her. That's enough for them, just to be able to tell people we met with her. We met with her. It doesn't matter that nothing got resolved. It doesn't matter that they got found wrong and then just left the situation hanging. No, it's enough for them just to be able to say that they met with us. It's the same tactic. It's the same tactic of Capitol Hill.
And just like we were told, the mayor knows about our cases. The mayor said he got to do something about it. I was told that the mayor is supposed to be settling my case.
Come on.
I don't know when, but that's what I was told. I was told to lay down, be cool, because he come to settle my case.
When the reality is, they sitting there obstructing justice. Because I believe, like they say, based on information and belief, or as they say, allegedly, he's telling people not to settle our cases, like Mary Richardson Laurie, the corporate counsel head, like how Tony Breckwickle is not making Timothy Evans and the general counsel or the office of inspector general do any of these, do any investigations, to do any audits, or like, I mean, they just don't. They just don't. They just don't.
And
Like
it's so far deep now that when the Department of Justice comes in and arrests them, they need to do, and when the cases are settled, the lines are going to be wrapped around so long. They think me and Miss Jessica is a problem on that mic. Everybody is going to be down there because they have done this for so long. And there's a lot of people that do got their paperwork. They just don't have the patience to go down there to deal with it, so they can tell them stupid stuff like, well, you got to go get you a lawyer. So that's what you got to get you a lawyer. But keep voting for me, though. Vote for me. Keep voting for me now. Vote for me because I am good for the community. Keep voting for me. Please vote, but you got to go get you a lawyer. I can't do nothing for you.
Yeah. Or I think people get attorneys, because Black people love to say that they got a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I think that they get an attorney, and then once that attorney, will do them in, like a lot of them do. I think a lot of Black people get discouraged to keep fighting. I think that a lot of them don't see themselves representing themselves, and but the best example of a pro se litigant for something that you believe in is a criminal case inmate. You have criminal cases where inmates get wrongfully convicted, and then they sit there in those jail cells and they prepare their own appeals. They represent themselves, and they do it for years and years and keep appealing until their case gets heard. And by the time it gets to TV and you see the ACLU out there with them and all this and that, by that time, those inmates have done so much of that work on their own.
Right.
It would be just like it would be equivalent to right now if an organization or something stepped in on my case.
Right.
I mean, it's literally just their face, because
like
all
my
the
mom
work
said,
has
the
been
NAA,
done.
like my mom said, the NAACP should be.
The what?
My mom said, like the NAACP should be doing.
Right.
Ben Crump and them. Yeah, but yeah, they want. They make off of our oppression. It's another form of. Like. These Chicago Democrats are sadistic. They're sadistic. They're and it all on our taxpayer dollars. They are sick. And they got to get out of office. And that's the only they're sick. They have literally sold their souls, their vote to this weird fraternity, a sorority of corruption, and it is them before us, and we are funding it.
And we're funding it. It's just like them sending me a property tax bill, but at the same time, they keeping me from making my rent income. And my alderman know that, but it's nothing he can do. It's nothing.
Nothing to do because he get in the hospital in his ward.
And I don't understand why you can't do both. I don't understand why you can't help this problem and still get a hospital. I don't understand why you have to dog out a constituent and a situation in order to get something. I don't get that. I really don't.
I really don't get how he think he gonna get this next term.
That either. But we'll deal with that on Famous Friday when his name gets
Famous
pulled.
Friday. Does
On
anyone
Famous
have
Friday.
any questions for Miss Jessica? They typing. Give them a little minute. Give them a little
Well,
minute.
I think we covered a lot of ground. I think that we gave people an opportunity to actually hear the details of this. And the main thing that I want is for people to don't waste time trying to poke holes in the situation and in the story. Instead, please pay attention to what it is that we just told you all, what we explained to you. We showed you the documents. We've read some of the laws. Take the time and try to let your walkaway be the reality that the city and the county steals property. And you have to ask yourself, what is it that you believe? If you really believe that the city of Chicago is so corrupt, if you really believe that Cook County is really Crook County, if you really believe that it's white supremacy and they did it, so how about you latch on to what it is that you say you believe? Because if you believe any of those things, then it should not be hard for you to accept what it is that I'm telling you about this case. Don't belittle it to my mother should have did this and should have, because my mother took care of all of her business. And if there were any legal way at all, that the county or the city could have taken this building, believe you me when I tell you, it wouldn't take them over 8 years to do it.
Yep. And
It's taking this long because I'm fighting them every step of the way. And everything that I catch them doing, I filed something against them. And instead of them stopping and saying, okay, you won, my bad, you right, okay, we'll stop. No, they just jump into another bad act because they got unlimited tax money. They got unlimited tax. So no, they're not going to stop because they could have stopped when I caught them right here with that first court date that the attorney made me miss back in 2017. They could have stopped then, but no, they just kept on doing more and more bad acts. They could have stopped over here in 2022 when I called them right this with the false petition and my sister did the executor. No, they kept going. They could have stopped on September 19th, 2024. After they illegally dismissed the federal case. But no, they kept going, trying to do now an illegal eviction. Yep. They don't know when to stop. It's like they're addicted to corruption.
Yep. I remember when I first started protesting outside, and every Chinese person came to me, a Hispanic person came to me, a white person came to me. Oh, they did that, but we got a lawyer. We fought. We got him back. We got him. Keep going. I never said, well, it was more to the story. You understand? Every black person that saw my my signs, yeah, that happened to my family, or that's just what Chicago do. And it's sad. It was sad to hear that, to hear white people come in to City Hall. Oh yeah, eminent domain. Yeah, they did that with my garage. They sit there explain the whole thing. What they do? Asian Mexicans coming down. Yeah, they did that. And this one Mexican came back 2-3 times and was like, "Damn, they didn't do anything. He can't give me a lawyer. He can't give me a lawyer that they used because he had to go back and get the more money because they tried to cheat him." So it's only us that question, that side eye and stuff like that, and that is why our communities look like that, and that's why Chinatown looks like Chinatown, Mexican Pilsen looks like Pilsen. Lincoln
The
Park looks
north
like Lincoln
side.
Park. River North looks like River North. But when it comes to ours, that's how, because we don't hold each other accountable when it comes to our leadership. We have black leadership that will not stand with us. There's 20 black aldermen down there, and they will not stand with us. Now, I've given my case to Alderman Leigh. I'll see what I can do. I can't promise you anything. Girl, y'all, like, what's the purpose of y'all being in office? Because I know that if I ever ran for office and someone would come to me and say, excuse me, Miss Leigh, they done knocked my family building down. Where? Who? How?
And there's definitely no way. And there's definitely no way that I would go as a public official. It's no way that I would go into a meeting with other public officials, identify a fraudulent document that they did, and then walk out that meeting and be, and then they continue to do more bad acts after that. Like, I mean, I would have been so insulted. You know what I'm saying? I would have been so insulted. In essence, what they said was, what y'all niggas talking about ain't nothing. Yeah. I would have been so insulted.
So insulted, but you know what?
As a public official, I would have been furious.
It's somebody that's holding something over them. Each person that wants to do something, and I'm saying that want to do something, here they come and say, remember when you did this?
Maybe. I just know.
And that's what it is.
I just know there's no way I could have been in the office. I mean, in the meeting with them. And you are the person that's fraudulent, that's put their name on this fraudulent document. And you sitting there. You make an agreement with me. And then you just go back on that agreement and it's oh well.
You got the dream team.
And I had the dream team. It's just no way. Either they all did me in, or either they played them like a fool. Yeah. They want to make me believe that no, they didn't do them in, that they didn't do me in. No, they didn't do me in. Okay, then you're not mad enough for me that if they played you like a fool, I don't understand why you ain't upset. You should be more upset than this. You ought to be more upset than this. I'm not.
Says anything you guys can share about getting help from the incoming administration after their visit to Chicago?
Well, that's why we're getting our documents to Trump, to the new attorney general. Again, that was the essence of flipping red. Once they get in office, now you do have a Republican administration. You do have something to counter what's happening at the local government because it's a different party. And again, yes, we're giving it to the Department of Justice and all that on the federal level because we're taking advantage of the fact that we have a president that knows that it's a crooked judicial system. He knows what's happening here in Chicago. He does, in fact, know exactly who Zoe is, like he knows exactly who I am. We got, we got love notes from him. Zoe got one, I got one, and Danny got one. So he knows who we are. We all three of us had on Chicago Flip Red shirts. So he knows who we are. So we're going to give our information to him once he takes office January 20th. That's what we're expecting from the new administration.
Yep. Do you think people don't care or lack empathy until it happens to them?
Both of the above. As long as you think that it could never happen to you, you continue to tell yourself it's something that they didn't do. Probably they didn't do that. It should, it might be that they probably didn't, she probably needed to, until it happens to you. And then that's when you realize, no, it's not that they probably should have did this or somebody probably should have did that. It's public corruption.
Public corruption. City of Chicago has been named the most corrupt city on the planet for like 7 years in a row, and but it's been like this forever since Old Man Daly. Like, come on, man, stories like. Yeah, like this a normal thing. Like from the racism to the redlining, to the eminent domain, to the mob, to the everything. I mean, you could. Yeah, like this is a machine. This is a machine that's breaking. Me and Miss Jester broke this machine. I don't know nobody say, but yeah, it's a machine. We got a few more people that you gotta get off the machine to like break it completely, and that's Tony Preckwinkle, Timothy Evans, Walter Burnett, Pat Dow, Emma Mitz, and a few other ones. But the machine is, and once Madigan gets convicted, even though this is like his 40th day, because Blakely is a corrupt federal judge, so we don't know what's going to happen with that. But I'm watching closely. What's the status? Someone wants to know, Ms. Jackson, what's the status of your family's property now?
I'm living in it. The status is the same thing that it's been. It's not about the property. It's about them trying to steal the property. So what's on the table now is I'm dealing with the illegal eviction. But the property is ours. And that, like I said before, they're refusing to transfer the property to us. So I got somebody helping me with that. And all that's encamped in proving that the eviction is illegal because I just paid the property taxes. So,
they say, question: are you aware Pritzker as well as the Secretary of State are looking to abolish the Electoral College in Illinois and Chicago? I know that's supposed to be all over the Democrat thing. That's for another one, another live.
Another podcast. But that's not going to happen.
Yes, I am familiar with it. And I said I was going to do it some Sunday. Sunday, when I talk about the budget, I'm talking about this too. So meet me on Sunday, Patriot. I have Ricky Skills is in here. He's a dope artist. Ms. Jackson, you're gonna meet him on Saturday. I told you that's the one who does.
Oh, okay.
But we also have an event January 5th. That's my birthday. And that's just me like coming out with my Republican, and he's helping me get it together. Ms. Jackson is helping me get it together because we have to understand our history. We have to know our history. And the best way to do it is through art because I'm very creative, very artistic. Ricky Skills probably one of the most dopest artists on earth. And that is the best way I feel that I can get the younger people involved as well. I met a 17-year-old yesterday, little Mexican too. He came out, he pictures with us yesterday. He was super happy. I love the Chicago Flips Red thing. He's turning 18 in January. He's interested in politics and stuff. So I'm glad that the word is getting there, and that's what's needed because we're all we got. And as a human race, as humans, as people that have any type of dignity and all this is a fight that we all have to deal with. But when it comes to Black people, we have to get on board because we're the only ones that aren't on board. We're all scattered everywhere. And we need to stop being scattered because at the end of the day, we're only hurting ourselves.
I agree. Well, I look forward to meeting you. What time? Do you know what time we're going to do the photo things, Zoe?
2.
Okay.
Yeah,
on Saturday?
I'll see you 2 p.m. I'll send you that stuff. So yes, it says, can y'all introduce the whole Chicago? Oh yeah. I'll do maybe tomorrow. We got our our meeting tomorrow. So maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do a whole little picture or
I'm
something.
not gonna be at the meeting tomorrow because I got to go deal with crazy situation with the tenants.
Okay. Oh, you mean? Well, I'm talking about tomorrow night. We have my
Oh, that's
town
right,
hall.
your meeting. Your thing
Yeah.
on
But yeah, I'll do that.
Thursday.
Yeah, I will let you know. But we are having a photo shoot, so you'll see that when the pictures come out, buddy.
Yeah.
So yes. So thank you. I think that this first of all, I'm a little sick under the weather, but
Yeah.
this was needed because the same with my case. I'm tired of it's got to be something else. It's not nothing. It's corruption, and at the end of the day, ain't nobody going to continue to normalize that this is what Chicago do. Chicago is mine. Okay, I own Chicago. Me and Miss Jessica own Chicago. Okay, this is our city, and that's just what it is. Y'all just ain't never about to play with my mama, and you never about to play with Miss Jessica, and that's just what it is. Paid. People keep saying we're getting paid. No. This is people who are not going to tolerate and know the law and know that this is not what you're supposed to do. And when you know the law and what you're not supposed to do, and again, I'm Black American, I'm Negro, I'm freedman. This is my embassy. My embassy is the United States government, and it started on the federal. They didn't get no help, but on the local level, being right, this is where it happened at, and I can't even attack my alderman who is slow as I don't know what. The only person that I can talk to is Brandon Johnson. Continue to talk to Brandon Johnson and the rest of them people down there. Feds come, and that's just what. And the feds is coming. The feds is coming. The new Department of Justice, new HUD is coming in. New Federal Inspector General is coming in. Like
A new federal
yeah. That was
prosecutor.
the whole purpose. And it was the whole purpose of us flipping flipping the state red or going for Trump, because everybody that's in the Department of Justice now, Merrick Garland, Christian Clark, they suck. They terrible. They don't care. Christopher Wray, the FBI, he just resigned. No one cared. Oh yeah, no one cared. They were just making money off of us, ignoring us, and that's just what it is. So, but I feel like this was a sign from God that the Democratic Party is cosplay. And that's just what it is. And I'm like, yeah, like this is our land. I ain't going nowhere. It's me right here. I can't go to Africa. I can't go to Israel. I can't go to Ukraine. I was born right here. And this is what I'm fighting right here. My passport that I have said the United States of America. This is it right here. We the people. As soon as you open up your passport, it say we the people. And we the people in that US in this US on this y'all gonna pay my mother, y'all gonna pay Miss Jessica, and y'all going to jail. Time is up, it's over. And Black people, we need to go back to our history, and we need to go back to what we deserve, and we do not deserve this. This right here is it's insanity, and it's 2024. It's 2024. This is insanity.
2024. Yeah. It's 2024. Yeah. It's 2024. And the thing of it is, the trick that they're playing is they know that Trump was a familiar person to society and a familiar person to us. So what did they do? They're demonizing him because he's familiar. The other presidents that we've had, they weren't familiar to us. We didn't know who these people were. We didn't know who these people were. But Trump was somebody that we already had a preconceived notion with, already had a relationship with. It's some footage out there of Donald Trump coming down the Soul Train line. He been hanging around Black people and being all right with Black people for a long time. So the best thing that the Democratic Party could do was to demonize him, to make us not vote for him, because they knew the power of the Black vote for the Democratic Party. So don't vote for him. That's why, it's just not making any sense.
Yeah.
It's just not making any sense.
Now you can't talk no more, Daryl D, because you're a little idiot. Talking about some Trump hates you. No, the Democratic Party
Okay.
hates you, and
Okay.
they really
The
hate y'all now
Democrats,
because
the
let me tell you
Democrats
something.
that are willing to watch me go on the street.
Yeah,
To
the
me,
Democratic
that's an
Party what? Because they
indication.
don't care. You know how many
That's an indication of
people are on
somebody
the
that
street
hates
here?
me.
Do you know how many people are on the street in the city of Chicago right now? I'm talking about not just blacks. You got
No.
whites. You got the Venezuelans. You got everybody. Now this is a Democratic city. They got Tent City growing on the lake. They got Tent
Growing.
City
Growing.
growing on the lake. This the Democratic
On
Party
Lake
in there.
Shore
In
Drive.
there, the progressive AKA, the progressive KKKs in there arguing about affordable housing. We need affordable housing. We need this. Why they all on the street? Because they stealing that money. The Democratic elected officials. There you talking about welfare. They are welfare recipients because they depend on the government. Real bad.
Real bad. I think Afro Elite did a thing yesterday on his podcast, and he had the stats up there that shows that it's way more single mother white women than it is single mother black women. It's just all these things that we choose to believe.
Yeah.
It's just that we choose to believe it. We
Delusion.
choose to believe it.
Yep. It's delusion.
Donald Trump got a whole platinum plan for Black America. There has never been any president outside of the Emancipation Proclamation with Abraham Lincoln that did a plan that was specifically for Black people, not Black and others, not minorities, not underserved communities, not people of color.
Thank you,
No,
Sean.
the platinum plan is for Black America.
Right.
Let me go get a copy of it real fast because I
Yes.
got a copy of it in my
Thank you,
purse
Shar, for this
for
cash
the
app. Shar
non-believers.
cash app us. Thank you.
Tell Char, hey,
I thought that was you. I was about to say, I knew that. I think that's Shar. Shout out to Declutter Queen. If you need your house clean because you dirty or anything like that, or she's very, very, she knows how to clean. She don't steal any of those things. Please go to Declutter Queen. She's the best. And yeah, she has her own business, black business. And that's another thing, y'all. We have to start supporting each other and things like that, because I'm trying to tell you, there's no bigger pack than the black pack. There's no bigger pack than the black pack. So let's do that. Can you guys
here it
speak
is
on the
right
28
here.
votes they got? Oh, yeah, we're going to do that.
Here it is, the platinum plan.
The platinum
Right here
plan.
for Black America. It said right here to Black America. President Trump's promise to Black America over 4 years. Right here, increase access to capital and Black communities by almost 500 billion. Now we're working on tweaking this, because we got to bring it current, because this is when he ran the first time. But this is the first president in my lifetime that did anything that's specifically for Black people. Here's the proof for all you all who want to sit up and say, well, he ain't doing nothing, and neither one of us do. No, just because the Democrats are not doing, it doesn't mean that nobody is doing. It means that the Democrats are not doing. And at some point, we got to snap out of that. That just because that's like, and me and Zoe was talking about this the other day. That's just like if I had a kidney failure situation. And I'm not going to take that kidney because it's coming from a certain person. So I'm going to die because I don't want a kidney. Let's say Zoe is LGBTQ. She's gay. Now I find out she's gay. Oh, I don't want that kidney. It's coming from her. She gay. So I'm going to die. because of who it's coming from. That's the same thing that we've decided as a black race, that we're not going to take no help. We're not going to take this platinum plan. We're not going to take the capital. We're not going to take the jobs. Because why? Because it's coming from the Republican Party? Because it's coming from Trump? So we'd rather just keep on going out here looking at empty lots, abandoned buildings, under-resourced schools, having all this whatever taught in our schools. With high grocery prices, high gas prices.
Hold on, Ms. Jessica. Chris, what's his name? Ice Cube brought that platinum plan.
Right, to Trump.
And it wasn't going to, like, I'm going to bring it to, I mean, he's bringing it to either one. Trump sat with him. Can you please explain? Because he's trying to say he didn't do it.
Oh my God! Plan. You know, stop.
Yeah, it's always one. So
it's always one. Cube took it to the Biden administration, and he took it to the Trump administration for the 2020 election. The Biden administration told Cube to bring it to them because remember, Ice Cube made a contract for Black America. He had a team of professionals that worked with him on that contract. He offered it up to the Biden administration first. The Biden administration told him to come back and see him after the election. The Trump administration told him to bring that here. And between what he had done and what he sat down with Trump about, this is how the platinum plan came about. If you recall, Donald Trump did not get in office. Biden did. So how could he have implemented this if he wasn't in office? You're not making any sense. But because he's in office now, we can hold his feet to the fire about the plan that he orchestrated, that he made. I don't know what part of that you can't understand, except for you're just going to deny the kidney because it came from a certain person and you rather just die rather than take the kidney. To just keep saying that neither one of them did it. When you're looking at it,
I'm tired of and this is real talk. I'm tired of the ADOS, the Moors and all them basically saying this ain't the way. This is the only way. Okay, well since that is the only way, right? Miss Jackson says this the best, and I will always use this forever, ever, ever. Everybody got to get to 4, right? So ADOS, y'all get to y'all 4. Moors, y'all get to y'all 4, and me and Miss Jessica will get to our 4 the best way that we can, and then hopefully we will all be able to come together, and then this independent will happen. But independence not going to happen because everybody thinks they have the solution, and we have yet to see the solution with the ADOS. We have yet to see the solution with the Moors. We have yet to see the solution with the FBA. We have yet to see those solutions because what we really need to say, and I'm going to end it on this, I'm not going to keep talking about it, is that 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. That's what y'all need to start looking at, and Freedmen. And y'all start with that. And I think when y'all start with that, then you can talk to me. But that's my lane. And nobody's not going to take me off that square or that lane. That's what I'm on. So y'all get to where y'all going to, the ADOS, FBA, y'all get to go where y'all going to. Moors, y'all do what y'all going to do. But please stop telling me what I need to be doing because y'all ain't coming down there with me. Y'all have yet to find me an attorney. Y'all have yet to y'all have yet to be down there with me every day. The only person that be down there every day with me is Miss Jessica. Okay? That is it. Michael been down there too, but at the end of the day, I do not identify or align with that. I know what I align with. I know that I was born and raised where I was born and raised, Albany, New York. I know that I have a black mother and a black father. I can trace back my roots because my mother had me at an older age. My grandmother had my mother at an older age. The same with my father. So it's really not going to be that hard for me to trace back my roots. I know that I'm American. I know that I'm black. I'm Black American and I'm a freedman. And that's what I'm going to go by. So please, if you have, don't go confuse somebody else. Go deal with somebody else with that. This is not that channel. Okay, y'all get too woke and too conscious and too over there, and that's why we can't get to the next step. It is irritating because y'all all know y'all history. Y'all want to do history battles back to back, but we haven't went to the next square yet. And that's why we dealing with Latin America. Little Latin America is coming over here and taking over America because y'all arguing about what we supposed to be called. 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. Go look at y'all history and then come talk to me. I have nothing deal with when it comes to that. Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms.
No, you absolutely right. No, you absolutely right. And my thing is, now it's a different party in office. Rather than talking about he don't like you and he ain't gonna do that, what's hindering you from coming up with something to present to the Republican Party? Why are you all not getting in your groups, in your clutters, and deciding that this is what we can do? Why are you not going to him with something tangible and calling his bluff? Why are you deciding that you just gonna stay in the corner and talk about what he ain't gonna do? What's keeping you from collectively coming together and bringing something to the Republican Party? Who's stopping you? You know, you've wasted all this time going down here, drilling the Democratic Party. You've chased them for reparations for years, and for years they have denied it. For years you've gone to the polls for them and showed up for them. For years you let them do things like tell you vote or die. Take your stripper to the pole, and all this derogatory mess that you've dealt with for years with the Democratic Party, only to walk away with a bunch of empty lots in your community, a bunch of abandoned buildings, no economic development, low unemployment rate, and today a bunch of illegal immigrants poured into your community. And still, it doesn't make you say, why don't we try something with the Republican Party? Instead, you just keep accepting the nonsense from the Democrats and want to bing bang down on anybody who wants to do something different and try a different route rather than sitting around and just dying by economic genocide. The Bible says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. By the renewing of your mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's why Chicago Flip Red is so important. Because it's not just about going to vote for Donald Trump. Understand that. It's not about just voting for Trump. It's about flipping. Flipping. What does that mean? It means we're going to do something different. We're doing something different. Democrats have a strong hold on Chicago. We just went over it over and over and over again. There's absolutely no help for you. We're saying flip this red. Do something different. And in order to walk into that booth and hit that Republican button instead of that Democrat button that we've done out of habit and tradition, that takes a renewing of the mind. That takes a renewing of the mind. That takes a confidence that you understand that this over here no longer works for you, that it no longer benefits you anything. So your mind is changing. The Bible says, know ye the truth, and the truth will set you free. We're not free because we won't accept truth. Don't you see how I just showed you something from Donald Trump, a platinum plan? Don't you see how quick somebody, well, how you know that we won't accept truth? It's right here on black and white on paper. We cannot move.
Chris, it's some wrong. You just hate him, and that's cool.
Right, right. And
First of
that's
all,
just,
his
you know
cabinet
what?
is not just all. It's not just all white. That's
You
the
know
thing.
what?
And my thing, yeah, like have a good one, Chris. Have a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Have a
yeah,
good
yeah,
one. We'll
yeah,
put you in
yeah, yeah.
timeout.
Because
Put you in
he's coming
timeout.
in here, Zoe, he's coming in here with a disruptive spirit. For
Yeah,
the
yeah,
most
yeah,
part,
yeah. Go, yeah,
everybody,
yeah, yeah.
right,
Go,
for the
yeah,
most part,
yeah. Go
everybody
find some. You gotta find. Let me
is,
tell you something. Those
right.
people like that just sit in the house and eat Oreos and then complain all day, don't do nothing, hate
Yeah.
their job, won't do nothing about that, won't switch nothing, mad at everybody, find something wrong, won't do nothing, won't make a change. Those people like those are Debbie Downers. That was Chris Downer. You got to get out of here. This right here is not, this channel right here is not for you. This is F around and find out. This is solutions. This is a Freeman. This is, we're going to run this country. This is our country. We have woken up, and we are going to continue to fight. And we're not going to fight that long, because we have everything. We have everything. We have all the tools. We just need the numbers, and the numbers do not have to be with us being out here rallying. Vote. Have your kid, get your kids registered to vote. Talking to your kids. Start having history. This is it. This is our, and this is our chance. He got 4 years. Trump. That's a crazy thing people are saying. He got 4 years. We have 4 years starting now, because that's the problem with us. We don't know how to organize. Starting right now to get ready the next 4 years. You know how many people that we can get to run as a Black Republican on the federal level, on the state level, on the level, and then just a Republican ally in general and local, independent, state and local. Y'all so stuck on Donald Trump. I don't talk about Trump unless y'all bring up Trump. This doesn't say Trump flip shred. This says Chicago. We explain both of our stories. We explain why. I tell people all the time, I am a business. The Democratic Party did not give me the best customer service. For us to get 90% of y'all vote to the Democratic, should have been no reason why my mother's case is not settled. So I saw that, okay, we're getting terrible customer service over here at the Democratic Party, and we have been voting this way for this long. Then I started looking at our communities like, oh, so that's why our communities look like this. Okay, yeah, we got to flip this. We got to flip it red. We got to do something different. That's what I look at. I didn't look at, oh, it's just racist over here. Oh, I can't go over here. That's the problem. No, we have to change it.
Because we've been around the Republican Party, Zoe, and we know for a fact that they're very nice. They weren't acting racist towards us, and that though they are pro-American. That's it. They pro-America.
Thank you,
We are
Lasagna.
Americans.
Lasagna sent us. We got cash. We get cash apps. Cash apps.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the support.
Thank you.
You know, so it's really, it's like with anything else, even with our relationship with God. God gives us life, and he takes care of every need we have. He allows our lungs to breathe. He allows our eyes to work or whatever. He allows different things to happen in our lives, different blessings. He allows us to go through trials and tribulations, and allows us to see that he brings us out of it. He delivers us out of it. And after all of that, there are still people who still say there is no God. Those are the people we call atheists. And God has said of those people that there'll be an eternal lake of fire for them if God knows that with everything that he shows to people, and you still have some people that's still going to deny him, still going to say he don't exist, well, we can't expect anything less as human beings. We can't expect that everybody we tell will receive this message. We can't expect that everybody wants to be free. We can't expect that everybody will change their mind. If they won't do it for the creator, the one who gives them life, if he can't prove enough to some people to make them know that he's real, they still doubt him, then why can we? It's unrealistic, an unrealistic expectation for us to think that everybody is going to grab hold to anything. So for those who grab hold to this, let's go. Those who don't, let them stay over there. But what we can't do is waste time going back and forth with people who have decided that they want to stay poverty stricken. They want to stay down. They don't want generational wealth. They want whatever that is that they want. They don't want better. And that's their prerogative. That's their prerogative. If they want to live a poverty stricken life, that option is very well available to them, especially in the United States. You can be poor as you want to be. Go downtown and be in that metro. There go a whole bunch of poor people hanging around there. You can be that if you want. Help yourself. Nobody's stopping you.
Yep. Yep. And
Tired of this nonsense.
That's that piece, and that's it. It's gonna be some people that ain't gonna go, and that's fine. But I'm not going. One thing that I saw Mr. Gregory be so frustrated trying to really convince these people. I'm trying to get better words now. And I remember him just saying, like, you cannot save them all. And I saw his frustration, his defeat, because he was there when the movement was happening. He was there when it was going, and it was flowing to this. Before he passed away, to this, And I always looked at him and say, like, ain't no way. And now when I think about, now that I'm in this, now this is my movement, this is our movement. I go back to his, like, yeah, I'm not explaining nothing. Like, if you don't see it, then man, get out of here. Get out my face.
I mean, how long
going this way?
Right,
Go back that way.
Right. How long would I actually keep going back and forth with the atheists? It's a rabbit hole that they're going to continuously go down. At some point, I just have to accept that they just don't want to accept it, and you let that go. But you cannot sit there and just waste all that time like that. It doesn't even benefit. It benefits nothing. I like this phrase that he said: mental bondage is invisible violence. I like that, because that's true. Yeah,
Right.
you fighting against yourself. You fighting against your nature. You fighting against nature. You're fighting against, It's like you fighting against yourself.
Yep.
I agree with him. I think emotional bondage can be put in there as well.
Yep. The Cash App is like on the little thing twirling, somebody said. But yeah, is Illinois Black Republican Coalition real? I gotta look that up. I know that's my first time here.
We have to look that up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, about that.
Yeah,
but I'll look it up. I mean, like I said, each one
as
teach
we
one.
Move forward.
And I know they have the South Side Republicans. I do know that there are some Republican groups. I just don't think they've made noise. And I'm not saying it in a rude way. It's just that we got cases. We have cases, right?
We got cases.
We have cases. So because we have cases and they have not been they have been unresolved, and we have just been going down there, and we have just learned like the only thing that is gonna like make noise, like get people to like really see how, I know for myself how detrimental the Democratic Party is for these people here in Chicago, for Black Chicago, is I got to go down to City Hall and get on that mic for 3 minutes, because that's the only way that I'm able to like really tell Black Chicago and other Chicagoans as well, because there's a lot of white Chicagoans that are upset. There's a lot of Hispanic Chicagoans that are upset. There's a lot of Asian Chicagoans that are upset. People upset. Oh, Ukrainians, Polish, they mad. But the only way that we're able to be heard on top of talking about our case is on that mic, because it's going on 2 years, and that's how ridiculous they are. That's how useless they are.
And for 2 years, they really felt like they didn't have to do anything, because again, we're talking about the Democratic stronghold. For 2 years, they knew that there really was nowhere that we could go that would assist us. They knew that.
Thank you, Sophia. Well, yeah.
They knew that. You see what I'm saying? So with the change of administration, they know that reality has changed. Now there is somewhere we can go, and we make it so bad. Not only is there somewhere we can go, but we've made the ground fertile in terms of people know who we are. They know what our case is. So now when we go to the federal government, they know who we are. We don't have to start off from scratch. And, because our stories are out there. And again, once again, we do not have to convince this president about the corruption of the courts. We don't have to convince them about the Democratic Party. In fact, they're saying, I was told by some people who work in the Republican Party that that's one reason why there hasn't been Republican candidates that have come out of Chicago for a long time, is because the Republican Party says that Chicago politicians are too corrupt. If something happened, that if Illinois is the land of Lincoln, and Abraham Lincoln is the one that emancipated Black people, what happened that made his land turn Democrat like this? What happened? I bet you there's a story behind that. I bet you that's something worth investigating. What happened? How did the Illinois go from the land of Lincoln, the president that emancipated us? How did it end up being a Democratic machine? That doesn't even make any sense. How did that happen?
I think the assassination.
I don't know. No, because you talking about who? The assassination of Kennedy?
No, the assassination of Lincoln.
Well, no, that can't be it. Because look how long.
And the only reason why I say, and I'm just saying it on my, the only reason I say that is because before social media and before that's how they kill people, how they kill. Understand, like anything that is going to mess up that machine, they get.
But how did that machine? But what I'm saying, Joey. But how did that machine come to be? That's what I'm saying. If this is the land of Lincoln, which gave us the emancipation, so that means that Republicans had rule in this state. What happened that made Chicago turn blue? Because we know that Illinois is still red. Outside of Chicago, the outskirts of Chicago and Illinois are red. What happened that made Chicago turn blue and made Chicago become a Democratic machine? I don't know.
Daily.
That's what I kind of think that too. But we need to find that and confirm. Thus, the Daily Center. That's probably why it's a daily center. I would be willing to bet that the old daily administration probably has something to do with Chicago going Democrat like this. Because
To
it
the point,
doesn't make any sense.
that's why they're so confident down there. You know, there's people that say, Zoe, we want you to run, but you couldn't run as a Republican because it's so diehard Democrat that if they see that R, you're gonna just lose because of that. Because it's like, oh, gotta stay away from that. Like you would have to run independent, even though I'm independent regardless. But I have to run independent because running that R, they would totally even look with the ballots. Look how they got the ballots. People have to register as a Republican we have to register as a Republican to get my name if it was a Republican thing because they have everything Democratic on that one ballot. Mm-hmm. They have created it that this is just going to be
a Democratic city.
A Democratic city.
So we got a lot of work to do, but at the end of the day, it'll be worth it because we cannot stay in the rut that we in. Something got to give.
Somebody said the Democratic machine started in the 1920s and 30s under Anton Cermak and others who created the Democratic machine. Check out Black Metropolis by St. Clair Drake and Francis Clayton. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I gotta see. I do want to see because it's interesting. You know, it is interesting. Because even in New York City, right? It's a Democratic city. But if you want to run as a Republican, they're going to let you run as a Republican and you're going to win as that Republican with no problem. You're on the ballot together and all that. They have designed it where you ain't going, look, you got to pick one. So
right.
Some people say stuff like, you know, I want to vote for you, but if you vote as if you go as a Republican, but the rest of the people is Democrats I want to vote for, I can't. I gotta pick or choose because they gotta separate it like that. So that's something that we need to look into. You know, just because that's crazy.
Election process, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're right. Well, I think it was a good show. I hope people learned a lot.
Yes, I hope you guys did too. We've been doing these 3 hours, man.
I know.
But you know, we had over 100 people watching, so that's good for me.
That's good. That's good.
And then they always do the playback, so that's good. Somebody said you can't even get a Republican ballot even as a registered Democrat because they don't want to do the work. Like, and then Ricky said that the Democrats became a virus to the regular government. Yeah, it's definitely a virus. It's a cancer. It's the worst cancer on earth. It's so bad. But somebody said they learned a lot. So they love us both. Love you all. Love us all. Well, thank you. All hands on deck. I know you say we won't see you tomorrow, but I'll be down there tomorrow, right? Oh yeah, tomorrow is the last Cook County board meeting of the year.
And make sure you do Famous Friday, that you remind them of Famous Friday, that Carlos Ramirez Rosa is the pick for this Friday at 6 o'clock on your channels, Zoe Leigh. And for Famous Friday, it'll be Carlos Ramirez Rosa this Friday.
Rosa.
Yeah, so make sure
ringleaders down there. He's part of the Hispanic KKK.
That exists. Yes. So make sure when you speak tomorrow that you
we'll let them know
remind them of Famous Friday.
Yeah, you know how funny they are.
I'm
gonna take a video this time when I'm walking in there, but you're not gonna violate my rights this time, Tony Dwayne. Tony Dwayne Preckwinkle. So I'm yes. All
Yes.
right. I appreciate y'all. We will see y'all Friday for sure, 6 p.m. Central Time. My channel, Famous Fridays, featuring Carlos Ramirez Rosa. All right.
Yep.
That's that piece, y'all.
Good night.
Yep. So I asked me